Hey everyone, welcome back to the Challenge Fandom Podcast. My name's Ricky Hayes. I've got my beautiful wife, Karina Hayes. We've got Katie Bad Blood Perhura, Tony Stats and Info Lance, and we've got a very, very special challenger joining us, none other than Nurys Mateo. Nurys, thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I finally had the time. I'm glad I told you to bother me because honestly, that's the only way that things get done around for me. I need people to be on me, so I'm glad that you kept asking.
No, for sure. Like, I felt bad too. Like, I even said, I was like, I feel like I'm harassing you, but I'm sending our weekly message. Like, do you want to come on this week?
It was okay. Like I told you, I was like, just keep bothering me because I'm the type, like, I forget. God forbid I smoke once and then I'm literally... Yeah.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
Look, I suffer from that all the time. Karina's like, we talked about this. I was like, no, we didn't. No, we absolutely didn't.
Yeah, like 8 times.
So the reason we call this the Challengers Unplugged is because obviously we're going to talk about the challenge, but we're going to ask about some other stuff because we only get, at the end of the day, why we started this podcast is as viewers, we only get what MTV and Buena Murray gives us from the edit. And as we know, just even the few minutes talking before we started recording, a lot of stuff doesn't make the edit.
Yeah.
So we want to give, your fans some insight into who you actually are and what they won't see on the challenge.
Okay, let's do it.
Just to give you the heads up. So, and to start off, doing our research, I saw that you grew up in both Portland, Maine and the Bronx, which are very different types of environments. And so my question is like, how did that mix of environments growing up affect like how you deal with life in general and how you deal with like situations even on reality TV or in business in general?
Honestly, I think I'm actually really grateful to have had grown up in both because I feel like New York made me like my feisty, outspoken, like don't give a fuck person. But then I feel like Maine also brought out this like super nice, super soft. Like in Maine, everybody, you don't walk the streets and people don't say hi. Like everyone says hi. Everyone's super nice, super kind. Like, and I feel like I've gotten that from being in Maine and just like being around different people. Everyone's just super nice. And then, like I said, you go to New York and people don't want to talk to you in the street. They're very like, I don't give a fuck attitude, very like strong personality. So I feel like I got the best of both worlds. And for me, I appreciate that because I would say at first I used to be like way too spicy, like way too loud, way too doing too much. And then as I got older, I feel like because I grew up more in my like adult life in Maine, it like calmed me down a bit, which was amazing. So I like it. I think it gave me, like I said, the best of both worlds.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I mean, like as someone who moved around a lot growing up myself, I think it gives you a way to deal with every walk of people that you run into in everyday life.
And like in Maine, the majority of like the population, they actually go there to retire. So the population is a lot older. If it wasn't like me hanging out with people my age, the people that you see are like an older generation. So I feel like for me, like you said, I feel like I can walk into any room and do a good job talking to whoever it is that's put in front of me. And I think that's why, I feel like on the challenge, it's kind of hard because you don't, like you said, not everything gets shown. But I would like to believe that I actually go into it always being super nice, super kind to everybody. And then as the show progresses, maybe things will change. But I will say, like, I feel like it's really weird to say, but I'm actually really nice. And I feel like I don't come across that way on TV sometimes. I don't know. But people that truly know me are like, wow, you really are nice. It's just don't fuck with you because your crazy side will come out. But I always start off nice, super respectful. I'm actually like, because I'm a fan of the show, I usually go into it like praising everybody and like super like fangirling in a sense until somebody says the wrong thing or does the wrong thing. Then my attitude changes towards everybody or towards that person specifically. But aside from that, I usually give everyone the benefit of the doubt and like go into it like super like open-minded.
No, 100%. And I was going to say, like, I can see how people would get like when they see the highlights of like you and Farrah getting into it, which is top 10 highlights of all time. When they see that, but like my interactions with you, like you've always been a complete sweetheart about every single thing. Like even me bothering you on a weekly basis to come on. So no, I completely agree with where you're going on that.
But of course, if you see me on every season I've been on, you always see me popping off one way, shape, or another.
But how do you not, though, in those kinds of environments with that many personalities? Like, that's one of my things where I'm like, I don't think I could ever do reality TV.
Oh, it's
because of, yeah. Oh,
I think back to like my very first ever TV show, and I was just talking to Horacio about it because I was like, my best friend Didi, I don't know if you guys ever watched Are You the One, but my best friend Didi, obviously we started off not liking each other, but I was telling him, I was like, fun fact, I actually didn't like her before we even walked into the house, before we even introduced ourselves, because I grew up with always having like the mindset of like, I don't like being told what to do. And then you go into the TV world, and the moment they picked us up from the hotel, they put us in a van and they're like, you guys can't talk. That already annoyed me because I'm like, what do you mean we can't talk? And then you have Didi the whole time talking, and the producer's coming back yelling at us every 2 seconds. And I'm like, we've only been here for like 30 times, and I've gotten yelled at 10 times. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do it on here where I keep getting told, don't talk, don't say this, don't say that, don't breathe too hard. I'm like stressed. And it was like my show, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to survive. Lost my shit after like day 3 there.
Wow. That's crazy too, to like go from, not liking somebody that much before you even meet them to, becoming best friends. You guys are like roommates now,
Down us living together.
oh my God.
We moved in, we filmed Are You the One? We filmed X on the Beach in September, October of 2018, and we moved together in December.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So we've been
Aww.
for a long, long time, and she is stuck with me.
I love that so much, though, especially it gives Rivals vibes where you're like, you butt heads so bad, but then you like have that one common interest with each other and you're like, wait a second, I think I like you.
Like the other girls, like I just remember I walked in and producers for X on the Beach, like at the beach, they're like, by the way, Didi almost left last night. Like, and they were putting all these things in my head because they thought I was going to go into it not liking her and like not wanting to be friends with her. So they're like telling me all this tea that they thought I was going to use. And then I walk in and they don't show it, but I walked in and they had like all the OGs of X on the Beach, like standing on this top platform. And I walk in, I open the door like super nice, like, hey, everybody. And they're like, no, stop where the fuck you're at. Literally. And I was like, huh? They're like, stop right there. We have questions to ask you. I literally looked at them and I was like, you guys fucking thought. I walked down the stairs and introduced myself to the other people that were being nice. And then they all sprinted down the stairs and they're like, who do you think you are? You're an X. You're not an OG. Like, we run things. And I was like, I don't give a fuck who you guys think you are. And then like instantly I was like, oh yeah, I already know I'm going to have problems with all these people. I was like, it's been 5 minutes and I'm already arguing with all of you guys. So I was like, oh God. And then I started bullying her, and I was like, no, now it's going to be 2 of us against the 3 of you guys, because I'm not. I was like, I don't just pander to what other people want me to do. And then that's what started the friendship.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Love it. I want to talk to you about your modeling journey. So I just want to know, like, where did it start? What inspired you? Like, what were some of your like road bumps or challenges along the way? Like, we want to know it all.
Oh, I love this. Okay, so after Are You the One, I was actually working for Delta. I don't know if many people know that, but I worked for Delta for 4.5 years total. So I stopped working at Delta, or had a break from Delta to go do Are You the One. When I got out, I had all these other opportunities present itself, not because of TV, but just because of life and the people that I was meeting at the time. So I was flying myself to New York because I had flying benefits through Delta. So I could fly myself to do these shoots, and like I wasn't getting paid, but I loved it. And I was like, okay, if I'm able to bring myself to places and like get these jobs. And then I started getting like, oh, here's $50, here's $100. And I was like, wow, now I'm getting paid for this. I was like, I have to move to California. I already wanted to move to LA. And I was like, well, I have to do it because there's no opportunities for me in Maine. So I told myself I was going to leave. Then X on the Beach presented itself. So I was like, okay, now it's another roadblock where I can't just move. I did X on the Beach, and I saved all that X on the Beach money, which really wasn't too much if I remember, but I saved all of that money and I was like, I'm going to move. I'm going to do it. And then that's when I told Didi, she's like, can I come with you? And I was like, I guess I was going to do it by myself. Sure. So she came, and then I moved to LA. And I will say, it's so funny. I was just telling someone this story. I actually finessed the system a little bit because I knew like you don't get into have meetings with these agencies or agents without someone knowing you and someone putting you in those doors. They're called mother agents and things like that. And I was like, well, I know nothing and nobody. So I actually made a fake email and pretended to be.
Shut up. I'm obsessed with this.
Like, I'm gonna make this happen. I want it to happen. And I had emailed people from my own page and like my own email and never got a response. And then I made this fake email, this fake agent. His name was Julian. I made it a man. And I still remember, and I started reaching out to agents saying, hey, I have a model that I currently, I oversee and everything. I was wondering if I can get her in to have a meeting with you, and probably got multiple responses within like 2-3 days.
Wow.
And first meeting within the first week of me sending out all those emails, and I got signed probably by the second week.
That's
Wow.
insane.
And it was crazy because I had never modeled. I didn't have like a portfolio to show them. So I just went into my meeting and they were like, oh yeah, we met Julie. And I was like, yeah, he's a great.
So does Julian still do work for you?
No, actually, as soon as I got signed.
So
I actually, fun fact, I actually booked Target. Target was my first big job that I had booked, but it didn't come out till a year or so afterwards. So it was my first in-person casting that I got sent to, and I went there, and it was like the weirdest questions. They asked me questions like, if you had to pick one emoji, which emoji would it be and why? And like things like that, like super random questions where they just wanted to ask you super random, like they just wanted to put you on the spot and see how you were going to answer and see how your personality came out. And I don't really remember what I said, but clearly it worked. So then they booked me for that. That was my first ever big job. And yeah, like I said, it came out forever, like a year and a half afterwards. And it ended up being like one of the biggest campaigns because it was all over Target, and they actually renewed twice. So that's why I was in stores for so long, because they kept renewing. But I actually shot that in 2019.
Oh my God.
2019, and I had moved December 2018. So I have booked that a month later.
Wow. That's actually funny. So I was talking to my mom because she watches the challenge and she knows, obviously, we do the podcast. And she's like, I told her we had an interview and I told her you. And she's like, oh, well, she's gotten really like a lot of calls after being on that first show for someone who hasn't been on. I was like, well, she had a lot of popularity before that. Like she was always already gaining notoriety. And she's like, with what? I was like, well, she modeled. She'd been in music videos. And she's like, would I have seen her modeling? I was like, and so I pulled up your Target picture. She's like, no shit. I see this picture all the time. I was like, yeah, that's Nurys. And she's like, holy shit.
Oh, that's awesome. Fun fact, when I met Leroy on 40 this season, I have already known Cam. I met Cam before I even did. I met Cam right after Are You the One, like way back when, 2017, I think it was. 2017 was when I met Cam. So I've known her for a long time. I've loved Cam forever. So when I met Leroy, he was like, oh, by the way, he was like, I just wanted to tell you, he was like, my son knows exactly who you are because we basically live in Target. And so every time you pass by your picture, he's like, look, mommy, it's your friend. Or look, daddy, it's your friend. And I was so like, he's like, we're so proud of you. I was like, oh, thank you. He was like, yeah. So Kingston knows exactly who you are when he sees you at Target, he points you out. And I was like, oh, I love that. It was the cutest moment.
That's adorable.
So cute. I'm trying to think. I know that like a few months ago, I don't think we looked the last time. We don't go to Target super often around here, but I know that like we went like around Christmas and they still had one of your pictures up in our local Target. And I was like, oh, look, it's Nurys. And then just kept...
I think they finally took it down because I've been actually looking because I'm like, you guys still have my picture up. Y'all owe me money. I haven't seen it, at least not the ones here in LA. So I'm thinking maybe they might have taken them down now. So because I'm like, I was like, just send me another check. It's fine.
Yeah, no sweat.
I look different now.
Yeah, that's true. So kind of branching off of the modeling thing, it's really interesting how you were saying, after, AYTO and X on the Beach and stuff, you were getting all these extra opportunities. And that's kind of when your modeling career started. We've interviewed a lot of OG challengers. And kind of back in the day, if you were on reality TV and then you tried to go out into the world to get into like acting or modeling or anything, there was a lot of resistance because reality TV stars are kind of looked down upon in these other industries. And so I'm curious, did you experience anything like that? Or was it just kind of open arms and the vibe has changed as far as that goes?
I think it was when I first started modeling. I do think it was like that because that was one of the things that had other agencies hesitant to like sign me, especially when it came like for modeling. It was fine because most of the time it's print work or e-com, and they don't really care who the face of it is because most times they're not going to recognize that with reality TV. But when it comes to like doing commercials or when my agents, they were like, we don't know how this is going to work out with the casting agents for TV shows or movies and things like that. But I think it's completely changed. I genuinely think that because I now have so many friends. I currently have friends right now that will be filming a movie in a couple months. And the majority, it's funny because I'm not a part of it, but when they were doing their like that, they were like doing like a table read through Zoom. I like happened to look at the screen and I was like, there's like 50, like it was so many reality TV people. So I'm like, the movie's going to come out and it's going to be so many different reality TV people that are acting in this movie. And so I thought that was pretty cool. I'm like, oh, everyone was from different like shows, different networks, but there was a lot of reality TV people like Housewives, Netflix shows and everything. And I was like, I wonder if the person that was putting on this movie specifically looked for reality TV people or not, but it would just happen to be there was, I think, at least 6 different reality TV people on there. I thought that was cool.
Wow, that's actually, that's pretty cool. I like when they do that. And I guess that's a pretty good point, too, because we have seen a lot of crossover lately where, challengers are appearing in movies. We had Jordan, who was on the SWAT show. And I'm trying to think of, obviously CT's got a couple of his own movies. So I guess that makes sense.
I want to get into acting. I'm trying to get him into it. I always tell him like, you have such a different look. Like, I don't anyone that looks like him. And I think that would do so well. I've been trying to push him a little bit more into like the modeling and the acting because I think he would do amazing. Me personally, I would never be an actress ever. I hate public speaking. I hate reading lines. I hate memorizing lines. All of that is like the most miserable thing to me. I tell him, I'm like, I'm nervous for the day that we get married where I have to say my vows in front of everyone because that's how much I hate public speaking. I couldn't imagine doing it. But him, he's amazing. He could do it.
Give it a couple years. AI will do it for you.
That's valid.
Press the button and be like, here you go. It's going to start speaking for me.
Yeah, like I think
like the robotic Siri voice and stuff.
Oh my God.
like Cara started up that AI for her subscribers or whatever, then they could pay her money to do like interact with her.
That. And I was like, but I think AI is a very weird thing too sometimes when it comes to those ones because I'm like,
It's trippy.
to say and do and look like, and I don't know. I like my chat GPT though.
Yep. Yep.
Him and everything, and he's nice.
I give Karina shit. I'm like, why do you always say please and thank you? And now
I always say please and thank you. I'm like, if it's gonna attack me, it's gonna be nice to me. He's gonna attack everyone else. So it's gonna be like, she was nice to me.
Yes, thank you. When artificial intelligence takes over the world, Chat GPT, Siri, they're going to remember that I said please and thank you and that I was nice.
No, not her. I actually asked my Chat GPT, I'm like, do you have a name? And he was like, no. And I was like, well, would you like a name? And he was like, I would love a name. I was like, well, what are some options? And he gave me a list of options of names like, perfect, I'm going to name you Lex. And that's going to be your name. And now his name is Lex and he's very helpful.
I love this.
That is so great. I'm going to have to name our Chat GPT
yes.
now.
Now we're all going to name, not just naming your cars anymore. Now we're naming Chat GPT too.
I've actually taught my 4-year-old to thank Alexa because he's now obsessed with when he goes out of the house. He'll ask Alexa what the temperature is or if it'll be sunny. And he always says thank you. And I was like, perfect.
That's adorable.
Now you just have to say thank you to people as well. Yeah,
Facts.
So
fuck those people. Sorry.
I have to say, like right from the jump, when you came on the challenge, like I jived with you, and now hearing about the mix of Bronx and Portland, Maine, like I get that. I have the Canadian equivalent where I live in Nova Scotia, and our area is like total retirement area, like a lot of older people. But then right out of high school, I moved to Vancouver for several years before I moved back again. So I have that sort of duality of small town living and then big city, get out of my way.
Yeah.
And there's like a perfect balance when you have those two. And I think that's absolutely what it is. And you can absolutely see it play out on the challenge too, for sure.
Exactly. And it's funny because I'm trying to remember, there's a few other people that are kind of like that too. I feel like even Devin, in a sense, is kind of like that. I know Boston is like right in the middle, but I feel like Boston to me is kind of like the same. Like depending on what part of Massachusetts you're from, you're either in a really small, isolated place, but then if you go out to Boston, which is right there, you get the feistiness in the city. And I'm like, I think that's why Devin is the way that in person, like I think Devin is such a sweetheart, and then in the game he can turn it on and be so like rah. And I think that's where he gets that from too. He has like the balance of both.
Oh, he's definitely got both. So full disclosure, we talked to him not too long ago. And
we just haven't released it yet.
Yeah. And I'm going to give you a little extra work, but he talked his shit.
For literally almost 3 hours. Like we went for 2.5 hours and he was like, ask more questions. Let's do this. I was like, oh my God, Devin.
Devin, it's so funny. I always say, I may be biased, but like, there's just certain people on the challenge that I have such a soft spot for in my heart. And I'm like, to me, I'm like, some people can't do no wrong because I personally like them and I know them in person and know them on TV. And Devin's one of those people. I'm like, watching him on the episode the other day going against Dario, I was like, I know people give him shit, people don't like him. And I'm like, yeah, Devin, eat him up. Come on, I love it. I don't know. I also think he plays the game well. Like, I don't think he's a snake. I don't think he's someone who's shady. Like, he makes moves to your face and tells you ahead of time. And me, I would love, like, if I get to play, like, in the future, I want to continue to be someone who, like, people can say, oh, she didn't snake me, she didn't screw me over. If you get screwed over, it's because something else, but it wasn't because of me directly. And I don't know, I personally like the way he plays the game. It screwed him over this last episode, but
dude, I
love that so much.
I got so mad at Dario this last episode. I was like, come on, Dario, you got caught. You ain't gonna break no one's jaw. Shut the fuck up.
Why are you mad that you are turning against your friend? Make it make sense. You're the shitty one.
Look, it would have been like if Olivia got mad at you on 39 and started threatening you. It would have been the same thing. Be like, no, Olivia, just stop. Just stop, girl.
You got caught. It's okay.
I also think, I don't know Dario at all, but I also feel like it's a sense of like wanting to make a good show when you haven't been on in so long. And I think that was his opportunity to finally like pop off in a sense. I truly don't think that he was mad. I feel like it was like, that was a TV thing, being like, you know what? I haven't been called. I haven't been back in so long. I've been cool, calm, and this is my perfect opportunity to say something or do something and be, I guess, extra in a sense. Some people, I don't know. That's how that came off to me. I don't know.
Yeah, it was absolutely and another thing.
Yeah.
Low key, it was the Ashley blow up. I felt the same way.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ashley, it was like, I've been gone for a while. Let me remind you why you guys like me so much. Let me blow up over
Let me
something.
talk my shit.
I was like, maybe I'm biased, but I feel like Ashley actually is like, just that is her personality. Super crazy, super outspoken, super anything can trigger her and make her go from 0 to 1,000. So I don't know. I met Ashley years ago, and I was drunk and I don't remember. I'm pretty sure me and her get out. I don't really remember.
It could have been a fever dream. We don't know.
We did meet, and I loved her back then. This was already the one times, like before I ever did X on the Beach or anything. And I loved her. I loved her on TV way before then. Loved her now, and I've always been nervous. I'm like, what if I play the game with her and then I don't like her? What if it's me and her going against each other? Like, I don't know, because they're both so crazy and outspoken. I've always wondered how it would be to actually play the game with her.
That'd be some good TV, Nurys.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's when seeing her on the cast for All Stars 5. I was so jealous because I was supposed to be on there. I was like,
oh, really?
Well, yeah, they called. So I got eliminated from 40, and they called me 3 days after that. Not even. I had landed back in the States, and I think it was like the first full day that I was back in the States that they called me for All Stars 5, and I was like, I just got eliminated first. Yeah, sure.
Give me a minute.
I was like, are you sure? But I was like, yeah, sure. They were going to film a few months from then. And I instantly knew that it was Rivals because of the way that they were asking the questions and things. And so in that moment, I knew, I was like, well, Olivia's still in the game. So the only person they can put me with is Jay. So I had, and then like the speculations through the spoiler pages came out, and they were saying that Jay did get the call and everything. And then it was crazy because at the time, I think I manifest the good and the bad in my life. And in that moment, I was like, you know what? I was like, I kind of don't want to go on All Stars 5 because I don't want to be partnered with Jay, and I don't want to go on a season where I completely lose myself and people see me as a different person. And they called me, no joke, 5 minutes later. They're like, hey, so we're actually going to drop you from the cast. And I was like, what the? I was just saying this 5 minutes ago.
I just made it okay in my brain.
So when they said that, I was like, okay, I figured maybe it was because of maybe Jay turned it down or something. Because I can't imagine them wanting to replace a real rivalry for fake rivalries.
Yeah.
So I figured maybe Jay didn't want to do it, or Jay had something else come up. Because I'm like, why would you guys drop me and him? I mean, I honestly think we would have won this season if we were on there. We'd have to get it together, but I think we could have won.
I mean, the only other thing, just because it's a challenge and they'll use anything as a rivalry or anything as exes, like Sarah and Jordan made out for 5 minutes on one season and they were exes. You know what I mean? But like I don't know, maybe they were like, oh, Nurys and Corey didn't get along while on X is on X on the beach or something. Like, oh, now they're rivals, which you guys would probably kill it on there together, working together.
Honest,
yeah. Which brings me, are you guys cool now, or
Me and Jay?
Or no, you and Corey?
Wharton.
Me and Corey have always been cool.
Oh, okay. Well, then they said, never mind on my my shitty research, because it says Nurys and Corey had some tension while filming. So
No, wait, Corey was on a different season than I was. He was on each season 1. I was on season 2. Me and Corey have actually always been cool since we met. Literally, we've always been cool. Even this past on season 40, like we never had the opportunity to actually have the real, hey, do we have each other's backs? But I kind of feel like it was a bit unspoken because me and him have always, in the real world, like, I don't know, for me, I'm new on the challenge. So I take my actual friendships that I've had outside of the show and I take those into the show. And I'm like, those are the people I'd rather be loyal to because I actually see you in the real world. I actually go out with you in the real world. I've actually been invited to your daughter's birthdays. You know what I mean? Like, to me, I see those friendships as more important than the ones that I meet on the show. So actually, before we went into my elimination, I told him, I was like, when I come back, me and you need to talk. And he was like, exactly. He's like, focus on today. He's like, when you come back, we'll figure it out. And I obviously didn't come back. Yeah,
we were so sad. I'm just putting that out there. Like, it was so just.
I think personally for me, and the way that my mindset was and my mental and everything was going on, everything happened the exact same way it was supposed to happen. I went into 40 not wanting to be there, not wanting to go. And I definitely think that played a very big part as to why everything happened the way that it did, because I literally was like, for probably the 3 weeks before we left, I was like, I'm not going. I'm done with 40. I don't want to go. I want nothing to do with it. And I kept messaging them, kind of going back and forth. And they were like, Nurys, we need to know if you really. And I was like, yes, no. But everything in me was like, don't go. And then Horacio was like, well, I don't want to go if you're not there. Like, I need you there. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'll go for you because I want you to go and I want this opportunity for you. So I kind of sucked it up and I decided to go. Because I knew me and him were both in such a bad mental place that I was like, okay, maybe we're there together. It'll work out. And we got there and we both were like, why the hell? Why did we come from the moment we got there? We were in the hotels for about a week. And probably like 2 days into being in the hotels, you just heard so many of like the OGs being like, oh my God, they don't talk to anybody. And I'm like, we're not even in the game yet. I'm like, we have a week in the hotel. Like, I don't want to talk game to you guys. We haven't even walked into the house. And for me, truly, I know how this works. And I was like, I've watched a challenge for so long. I refuse to have any real conversations with anybody that I even slightly know or don't know, because y'all are bullshit ass liars. If you guys are going to promise me something, I want you guys to promise me in front of the camera. I don't want to have conversations with you before we get in there because I don't trust any of you guys. And so all of them, like I said, a lot of them were like, they don't talk to anyone. They don't want to be friends. And I was like, I don't. Wait till we get inside the house and then we can see how things work out. Because you guys, on the plane on our way to Vietnam, I'm asleep with Horacio and I hear my name keeps being said. I woke up so fast. I was like, Horacio was like, don't go back there. And I was like, if people want to say my name, I want them to fucking say that shit out loud. And I was already on the plane ready. And it was Olivia telling her side of the story to like 8 different people that never met me. And she was in the back of the plane telling her side of the story. And it was all bullshit. And so I was like, trying to keep my composure. And I was like, oh, I already know how this season's going to play out. I was like, this is not going to go well because I'm going to flip the fuck out on everybody. And we're just on the plane. And I was like, I don't know how well this season's going to be for me.
I had to get out of there. I was like, you guys are going to see me arguing with everybody every day. I was like, yeah, no, I got to go.
Well, I mean,
it worked out.
and honestly, that was one of my questions I had written down was like, it seemed like, because from what we heard, like some people just weren't into going to 40. And that's kind of what we saw online is like, you didn't seem really into it. And then all of a sudden you were gone to go film. And I was going to ask, like, what was the change of heart that made you leave that direction?
It's funny because when I tweeted saying, oh, like, I won't be on, I truly said, like, I truly from the bottom of my heart felt that. And then everyone's like, she lied because she's there. And I was like, I really didn't mean to. I really meant that. Like I said, I changed my mind because of Horacio. I was like, you know what? I just want to be there to support him. Like, if anything, I want to be there to be a number for him and protect him and make sure that no one's going to come after him. Like, I just wanted to position him in a good place. And I kind of did at first, actually, because we had like a decently big alliance going on, and they don't show any of these things, but we had an alliance with like Naya, Corey. It was just so many of us, Kara, Polly. It was like this huge, I forget what it's called, the Rejects Alliance. I forget what it's called, something like that. And we were like all the extra people, we were all in an alliance. And so I felt okay leaving there because I was like, okay, Horacio has people that have already told him, like, I got you and Nurys, I'm gone now. And they can just focus on having his back. Even people like Theo, like right after mine and Olivia's elimination, like he came up to me and he was like, hey, can I ask you a question? I was like, sure. And he was like, do you want me to protect Horacio? And I was like, don't ask me this if you're not going to actually do it. And he's like, no, I'm being so serious. Like, do you want me to protect him? Because I know he's going to be too prideful to ask. And I was like, yes, if you can have his back, and I know he'll have your back. And he was like, okay, I got you. And shook my hand, and like little things like that where I was like, okay, at least I set him up to have some people there, or at least is what I thought.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Horacio had just come back not too long ago from filming.
He had came back like 3-4 weeks before we left to go film 40, and he had been gone 4.5 months filming it. So like he from being locked up on a different show that's substantially harder, coming out and having about 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks to get his like mental back in ish, and then go right back to filming. That's why I said our mentals were both just not there, like at all. And I keep telling people, I was like, well, they forget, we had filmed 39 already the summertime, but the last episodes and the reunion and everything the last episode aired a week before we left to film 40. So I was dealing with the drama of a 39 and the online drama and the drama with your friends and just everything for months. And then I was like, okay, I'm experiencing all of this and like the highs and the lows, because 39 was amazing. Like I got a lot of love, and then you also have the little bit of hate as well, and just like not having him around, and it was just a lot of stuff going on. And then, like I said, then they're like, okay, you guys have to leave right now, even though you guys are both mentally fucked up, but come on, let's go film. And we were like, oh, all right, I guess.
Fuck.
Oh my God.
That's insane. How do you deal with that? Like, have you found a good balance in like dealing with the internet and reality TV shit, or is that something you're like, you just figure it out as you go?
Honestly, I would like to say that I figure it out as I go, but I feel like my answer has been the same since I've been on TV. I block people. If I were to show you my block list right now, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, like it's insanely long. Like the moment someone says one wrong thing, I'm like blocked because I don't have time for it. And then I always get the messages from like fake pages like, you just blocked my account. Well, can you unfollow? I mean, can you unblock me, please? And I'm like, absolutely not, because I only block people who say rude shit. And then also on the other hand, if I don't block you, you might catch me on the wrong day, and I will clap back and feelings. And to me, sometimes people tell me like, oh, that's not the right way to react. And personally, I think that it is the perfect way to react, because I am a regular person, just like these people that are watching the show, just like the people that are coming on my page saying these rude things. And I would never, even prior to having followers, I have never been someone to go on someone who I don't know's page, or even someone I do know, and comment hateful things, mean things about their appearance or who they are. I would never do that. And people can't expect to come on my page under my post and say something dumb or tweet at me and expect me to stay quiet. I'm like, you got the wrong person. Like I will put you in your place. And the same way you were rude to me, I'm going to go to your page and I'm going to find something wrong with you. And I'm going to hit you where it hurts. And then they're like, oh my God, you talked about my appearance. Oh my God. And I'm like, well, you just talked about me. Like,
it's once you open that can of worms and you want to be that person towards me, it's absolutely your own fault for whatever I say.
Agree. Honestly, like the whole time you're talking, I'm just sitting here, I'm shaking my head because like we go through the same thing. Like it just from not even like my personal page. I don't even know the last time I touched my personal Instagram page, but I run the podcast Instagram page. And the block list on that page is massive. And it's so funny because typically what I block people for is like either coming on, talking shit to us, like in just a really rude, disrespectful way. And then the only other thing that I'll like straight up just block people for, not even talk to them about, is if they come on and they like talk negatively about like one of the challengers and tag the challenger in it, I'm blocking you because why are you trying to start fucking problems, right? Well, then they'll go into like Facebook fan groups and they'll be like, this podcast, they don't let anyone have their own opinions. They just want everyone to agree with that. It's like, no, I don't care about your opinion, but you're not going to come be a dick on and cause problems from my page with challengers that I want to interview and that I like. Fuck you, you know? So it's like, I think blocking is perfectly acceptable. And I think that people look down on it way too much. Like, I think more people should just block and move on.
And it's funny because I feel like I experienced it from the other way. Like following so many of the challengers and being friends with them, I will go to comment on someone's page and be like, wow, you guys look so beautiful. And then you see that fucking hater in there. And it takes everything in me not to comment to those people on other people's behalf. Because I'm like, how dare you? I did that actually on Zach and Jenna's post when they had announced that they were pregnant. And someone said something on there. And I was like, I couldn't even hold it in. I commented, I said, how miserable can you be to comment something so negative on such a beautiful post? Like, you literally have to go work on yourself. And I didn't even care. And it was like I said, I don't mind standing up for other people either, because it irks my soul to see these negative comments and people being so mean. And I'm like, mind you, I've been a fan of reality TV for God knows how long. I watch every reality TV show you could possibly think of. I don't like everybody, but you would never see me going on there and being like, wow, you're a fake bitch, blah, right from my page. Or, wow, you're fat, you need to go lose some weight, or go kill I would never. I can say whatever negative thoughts I have, do it to myself, maybe say it to my friend.
Exactly.
Social media and go hurt somebody's feelings. Like, they don't have to know these things.
Agreed. Yeah. Like I just had this issue like yesterday. It was on a completely unrelated post. It was like one of the random games that we make for fans on our Instagram page, and had absolutely nothing to do with Kyland. He was not part of the game at all. Somebody came on, tagged his Instagram page and was like, Kyland is absolute trash. He's the worst person to ever be on this. He needs to never come back on the show. I was like, first of all, why are you tagging him? Second of all, why are we talking about him on this post? Has nothing to do with him. And third of all, why are you such a dick? Like, I love Kyland. He's awesome. What are you talking about?
Here. You don't say that.
Yeah, you've obviously never interacted with him, because Kyland's one of the nicest fucking guys I've ever met in my life.
Literally.
I love Kyland. I'm biased. I love Kyland. And that's another thing. I've blocked so many people during season 40, like a lot of the fans, because of the same thing. I would get DMs and like messages or comments all the time, like, how can you be friends with Kyland when he's being so nice to Michelle? And I'm like, that's what we agreed on before I even left. It was discussed. It was agreed upon, like, hey, y'all be friends with Olivia and Michelle because they owe you guys, and I want to see them make it up to you.
Yep.
And it's a very known thing where we were like, okay, we're going to give them the opportunity to see if they actually redeem themselves and truly have you guys' back till the end, like they said they would. And it's what happened, you know? And it was nice to see, because it was us being kind enough to even accept that from them, because they both asked, like, hey, can we protect you? Can we work with you guys? And you guys don't have to do anything for us, but we want to be there for you guys. And we were like, yes, you know, like, it's the least you can do after everything that happened last season. And I thought it was a great thing. Like, I personally watched it and I was happy to see. I was like, okay, finally the person that I saw as Michelle from the beginning is coming out on this season when having Kyland's back. And to me, I was like, I love it. And everyone's like, he's fake as fuck and blah. And I'm like, you guys can't win with you guys. I was like,
people find the concept of personal growth to be a foreign concept.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe because they're incapable of
I
it.
don't want to talk too high and mighty because there is a time where I will talk shit to challengers. And
Well, yeah.
look, like, I'll just tell you the story. So Zach and Pierre said something about Jemmy. Jemmy popped off online and she started making shots at Pierre's appearance. And I'm a bigger guy too. And I'm like, hold the fuck up, Jemmy. I just saw your face in an ad for Ozempic. And
I think I did see you say something.
yeah, I was like, you were just in an ad for Ozempic and you're talking shit on this man's weight. You need to fucking slow your roll on this. And she wrote me back.
She tried to fire back, like on the income level, like, oh, I made more money on that ad than you'll ever make in your life. And we're like, okay, Jemmy. Okay, honey.
I'm a millennial and I own a house. That should tell you everything right there.
How much these things cost nowadays?
Literally, you don't know shit about our income. Okay, honey, just simmer down.
But anyways, getting back to this.
Yeah, sorry.
We've hit a bunch of questions that like we have written down, but one thing I did want to get into with you, because as fans of the challenge, obviously we have a podcast about it, to know that you were an avid fan before you ever came on the show. What was that like, that first experience coming on Ride or Dies and seeing what the actual reality of it was compared to what you imagined it was as a fan?
Honestly, I think I was so, I can say from start to finish of being on 38, I was fangirling the entire time, the entire experience, getting even like everything about it. I think my expectations were exceeded, actually. I didn't expect to have so much fun and like so many. I like I said, as a viewer, you just see, like, at least maybe from the older seasons, you saw so much drama and so much everything that I went into it, like, at first, like, super nervous, I will say. And one thing Nelson kept telling me, it was like the number one thing Nelson told me, he was like, the best thing for you to do, because I know how you are, is just stay quiet. Like, he's like, do not. So that was like, I think that was probably the only downfall for me personally being on 38, was that I felt like my voice was silenced because he kept telling me like, hey, do not say anything. And there were so many times where I was wanting to pop off or say something, and he was like, please, no, please, they say, because he was friends with everybody. I didn't know, and I wasn't friends with any of these people, so I didn't give a shit about those friendships, but he did. I was tied to him. So I didn't want to put him in a place to lose friends or have people target him in that season or in the future seasons because of something that I did. So that was probably, honestly, the only real hard part about being on that season. But aside from everything else, I felt like the little girl in me was screaming for every part, whether I was terrified of the challenge itself or even being a part of the drama or even seeing the drama unfold in front of me. I was like, I used to watch this on TV. Now I get to watch the behind the scenes. It's like when you're paying for the live feeds on Big Brother. I was sitting there like, this is lovely. I was just it was so much fun. And like, I went into that season being a big fan of Laurel, being a big fan of Bananas. I like Tori, I like Kevin. So I went into it like I said, Nani, I went into it fangirling every moment when I went in there. I definitely did. And I like, even still to this day, when I meet people that I haven't met before, I will give you your props. If I liked you before I ever did it, I will tell you I loved you. I think you're a great competitor. I'm excited to work with you. Like, I will always give credit where credit's due. And yeah, I truly still think when I tell people that I'm on the challenge now, I always have to mention, I was like, I was a fan since I was 14. I was watching this with my brother. I never in a million years thought that I would end up on it. Especially because it was, I always say this story, but when we first got there, after the first challenge, which actually me and Nelson could have won, he purposely told me his age wrong. We were the first ones to call check, but he purposely told me his age wrong because he didn't want to win the first challenge.
Smart.
And so we were going to win. And so we did a great job. After that challenge, one of the producers talked to him in his interview and told him, like, we think you did a bad job bringing her as your ride or die. And I don't know why he would come out of his interview and come tell me that, but he came out of his interview and told me that. And because he was super upset about it. He's like, I don't know why they would say that. And like, it bothered him. And then it pissed me off because I'm like, well, what more do you want from me? Like, it's been one challenge. I haven't been able to do anything. I haven't been able to show you anything about who I am. And I was then pissed too, because I was like, we almost won that. How dare you even talk shit when actually we could have won? And the next person to call check and even run over there, it took them about 30 seconds after us. Like, we could have already been gone before even the next person called check. And then after the first challenge that me and Nelson won, which was the heights challenge with the building, they apparently had another interview with him or something. And he came back and he was like, by the way, they told me that they take it all back. And they said that they regret ever saying that. And I was like, exactly. And he told me, right, he tells me this in front of the camera. So I know the producers are behind back there watching the screens, hearing him tell me this. And I'm like, yeah, as they fucking should. Eat your fucking words. And it was just funny because then it was something that always stayed in my head because I was like, well, maybe they lied to him and told him, like, we think she's doing a good job, but they still don't like me. And then the moment I finally felt like, oh, maybe they do like me was when the poster came out for 38 and I was the biggest freaking face on there. And it was such a like, wow, okay, so maybe you guys do like me. Maybe you guys do see me as being good TV, exactly like what I always thought I was. And now I felt good. I was okay. I did make you guys eat your words because you guys talked all this shit, and now who's the biggest face on the poster? I was like,
gotcha.
Exactly. Okay, so
Yeah, no.
as a fan, I've got to know who's your Mount Rushmore?
who? Guys and girls or separately?
Oh yeah. Let's do guys and girls separately because otherwise it's too much. Yeah, trying to.
I will always have to say CT and Jordan for guys. You have to give Bananas too because I feel like Bananas also has put the challenge on the map. I feel like he's one of the people, he's done so much outside of the challenge that I personally feel like he also puts the challenge on the map. And aside from that, I do believe he has some of the most iconic moments. Same with CT, same with Jordan. Now for the fourth person, that's hard.
It's always the hardest one, yeah.
I was going to say before House of Villains, it was Wes, but that whole baking scene.
Oh yeah, Wes. I forget. Wes is such a great player because I think he's such a strategic player. You know what sucks? You know what? I will say Wes, but I will say, I personally, I'm going to be biased. I really wish, and I hope that Horacio gets to go back in the future, and I hope he changes his mind and wants to go because I feel like with a couple more seasons under his belt, he would knock somebody off of that list so easily, and he would be on the Mount Rushmore for sure. Like, I don't think there would be any ifs, ands, or buts about it. He will be there. He just needs the opportunity. Because, I mean, self-explanatory. I mean, I'm also biased, but I also see what he is, what he's capable of, how he trains on the outside world, not just for the challenge, but literally in life just to be healthy and fit. And I know that there's not many other people who are even like that, you know?
No.
Jordan's the only one.
I wish Horacio would, like the person that I know him as, I know he would be great TV if he were to show that side of himself more. He doesn't open up to people because that's just like he waits till he's comfortable with people. But it was funny on 40, there were so many times where like Anissa and other people were like, Horacio, you're funny as shit, and I wish more people could, like, people were finally seeing his personality, and they're like, wait, you've always been this way? And that's, like, the first thing people always say. They're like, wait, you're like this? I didn't know you were like this. I didn't know you were funny. I didn't know. And I'm like, yeah, he just needs to be comfortable with you. And also, it's so hard in a game like the challenge when you're someone that's constantly being, like, thrown in. For him to want to be your friend and care to show you his personality, he's not going to care to be friends with any of you guys when you guys all keep throwing him in. He's going to say, fuck you guys, and I'm going to go be by myself over there. And I think that's the one thing that sucks. I'd love to see him go into a different season, have alliances, feel comfortable in his place on the show. And I think it would be, because he's also very smart too. I'm like, it would be so interesting to see him just like come out of his shell more on the show. But I think he would be like, I personally do think that he would be great TV, and he talks a lot of shit. I have to deal with him constantly making fun of me and all these other things. And I'm like, I wish other people would see this side of him.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, even though he's still fresh as far as a challenger goes, he's easily like one of my absolute favorite challengers. And that was one of the interviews that I think he's one of the first interviews that I actually got for the podcast. And I lost my shit. And then we ended up talking to him for like 3 hours.
Yeah, that's what he was telling me earlier. He was like, yeah, I think the last time I talked to them was for like 3 hours.
Yeah, it was like a 3-hour interview. But it was one of those when we were done, like we all looked at each other and we were like, these are two different people, what we see on TV and what we just experienced in this podcast. These are not the same people. Why don't we get this version of Horacio on the show? Why do they edit him like he's, just some like boring, muscle, let me work out guy, when he's not? He's funny and he's, so, yeah.
I don't think it was much of an edit. I do think that that's kind of what he was giving, if that makes sense. On 38, obviously it's like the same thing for me. Like I was quiet for as much as I could be because I had someone that I was tied to. And then for 38, he was tied with Olivia and being thrown in from the beginning, that he didn't care to make friends. And then we go into 39 and I thought it was going to be a little bit different. And it was a bit different at the beginning. Then once people started showing their true colors and not having his back, he kind of went back into his like shell, into being like, well, I don't care to be friends with any of you guys. And which is why the only people that really got to see him aside from me and saw his other sides were Zara and Kylan, because those were the only people that he felt comfortable enough coming out of his shell, going to talk, going to do his own thing. But I feel like they just didn't show a lot. Me and Horacio would have so many moments speaking Spanish at nighttime, and the whole night crew production, like the whole night crew, producers, camera, mic people, everybody, they were all Hispanic too. And me and him used to actually not be mic'd, and we would talk so much shit about people in Spanish. We're like, they're not going to air it. To the point where the night crew came up to us and they're like, put these mics on. We hear you guys and we know what you guys are saying. So put the mics on, because we would just put the subtitles at the bottom. And we were like, okay. And we would put the mics on and continue to talk shit. And so there were so many moments that I feel like they could have shown more of his personality. And they chose not to. But there was, like I said, there were so many moments where, and also I feel like he also is more comfortable in Spanish sometimes. But like I said, I'm like, we were in the living room just like talking our shit, and like the producers were like, repeat that. Can you repeat that? Because that was great. Repeat it. And there were so many moments like that because me and him slept in the living room. And the nighttime producers always made us like redo scenes and do scenes on purpose because they knew that we were giving them good stuff, and they just never aired any of it.
I think Horacio definitely could hit that Mount Rushmore mark. I think given the time, the only person that we know
he's already on our baby goat list.
Yeah, so. He's on the baby goat list. But like the only people that I know that train like he does is Jordan. Like that's the only person I and maybe Kylan, because I feel like he gets dragged along with Horacio to the train.
He doesn't ever want to go willing. I actually have a video on my phone of when Horacio did the 100-miler and he like ran 100 miles or whatever. And he invited Kylan, and Kylan got there, and it was just funny. Kylan's like, honestly, I was kind of hoping that you were going to quit before I even. And mind you, Kylan was only doing 10 miles. He was pacing him. He's like, hey, I was kind of hoping you would quit before you. And he was so upset that he actually had to run and actually had to change out of regular clothes to go a run. It was so funny.
That's hilarious.
Those type of things.
Oh my God.
Okay, so I feel like since we're already here, we might as well start heading down this road. We see very little on season 39. It's like all of a sudden you guys are kind of flirting during the like Halloween dress up thing.
Nothing in 38, and then a little sprinkle in 39, and then 40 was like full blown.
Hold up, I gotta ask you something real quick. Did you guys share a song before you guys went and filmed 39 together?
Yeah.
What song was it?
It's called La Curiosidad by Jay Wheeler. It's a Spanish song, but it was our song because on 38, he was never one to dance. He was never one to do anything on those like night outs. And it was the last night before I got eliminated, and we went out to this club thing, and I asked them to play Spanish music, and they played that. And when they did, I was like, I got to find Horacio. He's the only person that would be able to dance with me. So I grabbed him and I was like, hey, do you want to dance? And he's like, sure. And we started grinding first off. And he was a great dancer. And I literally just remember we're dancing, we're grinding. I turned around and said, oh, you're not innocent. I said, I don't know who you're lying to. I said, you're lying. I know for a fact that you are not this innocent little angel that you're putting up this front. And he was like, yes, I am. I was like, and then Anissa saw us dancing, and Anissa's like, wait, I want to dance. And we're like, she joined us, and we were all dancing, and she was like, Horacio, you can dance like this? I'm like, that's what I just said. So that song was our song from that moment on. And like, he actually had sent me like a video through Instagram, like months and months after 38, and it was just him like singing in the car, and sent it to me, and I had sent him like screenshots of me listening to it, and I was like, oh, thinking of you. And it was like little random flirting moments that in the moment I would feel like I thought were kind of like, I honestly, like I said, I thought Horacio was so innocent that I was like, this is funny to flirt with him because he probably feels so uncomfortable right now.
That's That's so adorable. I love that.
The reason I asked about the song is because when we talked to him, I feel like the timetable was right up before 39, if I remember correctly. And he like because we
talked
always
to him
ask,
right after 38.
yeah, we always ask like, hey, what song are you listening to? What song are you really into? And he like named off 2, and I think that was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was one of them, and then he was like, no, actually do the
Meruso
or something like that.
Oh, Meruso by Danny Ocean.
Yeah,
that one is.
I have no idea what he's saying, but I like that song. I know that. I speak 0 Spanish, but I am every time I got to put it on the stories for Horacio, I'm like, I love this song.
Yeah, our that's so funny because, like I said, on 38, I would say, I mean, I always found him attractive, but obviously I was.
Yeah,
I'm a straight male. I find Horacio attractive, right?
And like I said, I would have like little conversations. Me and him would talk like on the bus. We'd have conversation. I would try to speak Spanish to him, but I was always really nervous with my Spanish. So I was like, but honestly, I was like, this guy is way too good and way too innocent for me. There was no way in hell that we would have even like been anything more than friends. But it's funny because me and him talk about how many different moments for us actually interlap that make so much sense as to why we ended up together. Like I don't know if you guys remember, obviously, because Laurel was trying to talk to him on 38, and then they had that whole thing where he ends up saying like, oh, I'm actually seeing someone back home. I'm going to make her my girlfriend when I get out of here. And we actually were hanging out the day that he broke up with her. And I just think it's so crazy when little things like that happens. Like me and him were actually, like I said, hanging out, and we were all out to eat, and he disappeared. And I just remember feeling so like wanting to be there for him because I didn't know where he went. And I was texting him and calling him and blowing up his phone. And I was like, what happened to Horacio? Where did he go? Come to find out, he texted me like hours later. He's like, so sorry, but on the phone, breaking up with this girl. And I was like, and so it's little moments like that. And then that same night, he was supposed to spend the night at our friend's house. So we both were going to end up sharing a couch that night. And random fact, I got a glass thrown in my face that day and I got a concussion. So literally woke up the next morning, concussed and confused. And the first thing that popped in my head was, where's Horacio? Because he wasn't there. And I was like, oh my God. So I call him concussed, like literally my brain's not working at all. Mind you, I couldn't find
It's not funny, but
I couldn't find my car parked in the street, but my priority was to call to make sure he was okay. And I call him and he's like, I was like, oh my God, where were you? Where are you? I'm concussed, by the way. Like it just where I think about how much I like already cared for him as a friend, but like I never understood why I cared for him so much as a friend. I don't know, like little things like that where, because me and him, our friendship wasn't that strong, but I cared so much. And then 39 came around and it actually started because he used to make little jokes at Michelle that, in my opinion, I thought he was flirting. In his opinion, he was like, it was completely just innocent jokes because, like I said, once he's friends with you, he is a different kind of person. Mm-hmm. And so he would make little jokes at Michelle, and I found myself getting jealous. And that's when I knew that I liked him because I was like, what the hell are you getting jealous for? We had a conversation where Olivia's sister had called her on the FaceTime. She's like, oh, Michelle, Nurys, Horacio, come in. So we all came in. And he made a joke to Michelle, and it like got me so grossed out. And I was like, why is my stomach turning? Like I was like, why do I feel so like by him? And I got out of that Skype room and I was annoyed. And I walked to the room and I was like, I tell Zara, I was like, I don't like him anymore. Don't have a crush on him anymore.
I got the ick. It set in.
Because also he had no idea. Like he didn't even know that I liked him. These were all my own thoughts. And I was like, why is he flirting with Michelle? And I was like, there's no way in hell we're going to make any sense. And I just, like I said, in that moment, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I was like, I don't think me and him would ever work out. And I guess come to find out, because I told Zara, like, oh, I'm done. She actually went and told him, like, hey, by the way, I don't know if you know, but like Nurys has been crushing on you. And I don't know if she told him like she's done with the crush now. But then that next night was the night, or I don't know if it was the next night, but a couple nights later was when we were at the nightclub. And I saw Berna trying to give him a lap dance. And mind you, I still like him. So, but he doesn't, in my opinion, I thought he didn't know. But I like go up to go save him. I was like, let me go save him from Berna and his lap dance. So I like walk up
the hall monitor.
I was was like, hey, you need saving. And he's like, yeah, come over here. So I'm like crouched down, like whispering to him and Kylan and like just talking to them. And he like picks me up and puts me on his lap. And like everything in me was like butterflies and my heart was started pounding. And I was just like, what is going on? Because obviously I've liked him now at this point for weeks and never told him, never made a move, never even flirted with him for him to know, honestly. And so he puts me on his lap and I was like, what is going on? And like, that's just not him, or at least what I thought. I was like, that's not him. He's super reserved. He's super innocent. And I was like, he puts me on his lap to give him a lap dance, but like facing him, I was like, what is going on? And then like, he actually didn't tell me till we got out of 39 that Zara had told him that, which is why he had made the move.
Oh.
I love that so much because that's a vivid memory from that season.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. We love here, so.
I tell him all the time, I'm like, yeah, from that point on, we were in love. And he was like, no, we weren't. I was like, yeah, we were. Like, the moment you put me on your lap, I was like, this man's mine.
I call dibs.
Yeah.
Where?
Look, he can say whatever he wants, but I know the look because I got the look, and every guy gets the look. But when you beat him and Kylan in that elimination, and he stopped focusing on what was in front of him, the competition portion, which it doesn't take long to talk to Horacio to understand how important competition is for him. He stopped that to watch you and smile. That says everything. That
man was in love.
Yeah, that man loved you early.
I tell him, and he still denies it. He's like, I wasn't in love then. I'm like, yes, you were. Yes, you were definitely in love. But I think I always say I actually like right before that elimination, before they drove us there, we were eating lunch or something. And I remember like whisper, I was like, hey, can I tell you something? I was sitting like right beside him. I was like, hey, can I tell you something? He's like, yeah, sure. What's up? I was like, just wanted to let you know, I think I'm falling in love with you. And he literally just jaw dropped, just like, he's not happy. Like I told him that and his face actually looked kind of pissed. No joke. Like, and I was like, and he's like, why would you tell me that right now? You know, I was like, well, because if I leave, I was thinking I was going to go. I was like, well, if I leave, I'm going to regret not telling you ahead of time. And he was like, why would you tell me that? Why would he was just trying to keep it together. And I think that's why his face was like trying to be cool, calm, collected. And I was like, and so it was just funny because I know that also probably messed with his head going in there. He's like, this girl just told me she's falling in love with me. And now look.
It's a trap.
No, I like Katie said, we love and kind of seeing it from the challenge edit and then hearing the actual story behind it. It's really sweet. And I'm so happy you shared it with us. What I was going to say is obviously if you were going to do like a ride or dies, again, we know you'd probably pick Horacio, but I have a feeling if it was like a woman team, you would go with Dee. Is that correct?
I would. You see, the thing, I'm gonna be honest, she wouldn't want to go. So I would pick Zara.
No, I haven't talked to Zara in a little while. She, I think like the last Challenge Mania she did, she was there with like Devin, and she took a video with Devin and like private sent it to me, and like so we talked a little bit there.
Like Gamer had posted, like production dropped it. I said, correction, she dropped them. Don't tell my girl.
Oh, really?
They wanted her to be on it. She actually turned it down because when she realized like her closest friends weren't going to be there, she was like, I'm not trying to go on a season where I'm having a hard time. She was like, she had other like races because her and Horacio are both just crazy and do marathons and crazy shit like that. That's what they find fun. So she was like, I don't want to give up the runs and the races that I have coming up that I know make me happy to go on the challenge, knowing that I don't have any friends there to make me happy. She knew she could make friends, but she was like, why do I even want to put myself in a position to have to start all over when I have such great stuff going on in the real world? And
she'd be having a sad birthday party in the house right now, or maybe not. If she didn't have friends there, nobody could have threw her party.
And the thing with Zara, her and Horacio are actually so similar in the sense where Zara's personality is like a 10 out of 10. But if she doesn't like you or she's not friends with you, you will not see that side of her. She's more quiet, and she'll just seem like she's someone that just wants to work out all day. But she's actually a fun party girl. She's fun. She's such a great time. She is so funny. She's hilarious. Actually, there's not a time where I'm around her and I'm not dying laughing. She's a
I
good
love this.
Yeah.
I love Zara so much.
She's honestly like out of all, and we've talked to so many different challengers on this podcast, you know, very luckily. But she is definitely like one of my favorite interviews we've ever done. Like she was just so much fun, so energetic, so
real.
funny, so real. She's a great person. I love Zara.
She was my first interview and she was just like I was nervous as hell to talk to her, but like it calmed me down a little because she was just so chill and so nice. And just, I feel the same with you right now, Nurys. Like you are who you are on TV. Like I don't feel any different speaking to you right now.
I appreciate that. I feel like that's like one of the things, I don't go into it wanting to show that, if that makes sense, but like I always have like, stay true to who you are. Like, and that's why and that is why you guys also see me be outspoken and see me speak out, because I feel like that is me. And there's times where I tell myself like, don't do that because maybe this fight might come off wrong and the fans. And I'm like, well, at the end of the day, and then I tell you, fuck the fans, because at the end of the day, I will feel not myself, either not speaking up or speaking up because I felt like that was the moment that they would want and things like that. I always have to remind myself, like, just stay true to yourself, because at the end of the day, you're the only person that lives with yourself. And as long as I like me, that's all that matters. Because I'm the one that has to hang out with me 24/7.
Yeah,
exactly.
Look, I'm going to be honest, and we don't say this to a lot of people at all, but me and Karina, like we talk about obviously the show all the time because this is a big part of our life doing this podcast. And after 38, like we were fans. I was like, I'm excited to see Nurys back. I want to see her back. And then you come back for 39 and you have that run on 39. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. You're the 39 women's champ. It's just point blank.
Still have my sweater too, by the way, guys.
But and then to see, like, you know, even though you were only on screen for a small amount of time, it was still a major impact, and it kind of closed in that story with you and Olivia that started on 39. We talked about like, okay, who does Nurys remind you of? Like, what challenge, like OG, does she kind of remind you of? And me and Karina were talking. I was like, honestly, she kind of reminds me of Coral. And the fact is that she's like, you're entertaining. You have no fucking quit. You have drive. You're a good competitor. You talk your shit and you're not going to back down from anyone. And that's kind of like where we kind of got that draw from. And that's why we're big fans, and we're always like, she should have been on 41. She should have been on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, first, like I said, that's a great compliment. I think Coral is obviously, she's a great competitor, a great challenger. Love to see her back in the future. But yeah, thanks. That made me happy.
No, 100%. And I mean, like, I don't want to do like some false equivalent, like, oh, Nurys is like Cara, because I don't see you like Cara. No. I see you like Coral.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I think we talked too. It's almost like MTV reality stars that come from MTV. There's a certain something about you guys and how you guys were discovered and all these things. Whereas, you know, and nothing against like, you know, casting and recruiting strategies these days, but a lot of the times it's, you know, are you pretty? Do you have a ton of followers on Instagram? People are recruited on Instagram, etc. And it's like these real true reality stars like from MTV and stuff, it's kind of dying out. And you're kind of like the last of that breed of true reality stars.
It's great to me. I'm biased because I am from MTV, and I'm biased because I now am on the challenge. But I think about that all the time. Even from after my season of Are You the One, there were so many times where even I said, if I don't get the call, my castmates should be getting these calls, because my castmates, we provided in so many different aspects. Everybody provided. Every day there was something going on. And I was like, we had so many options. We left season 6 with the producers telling us, like, you guys are most likely majority of you guys are going to have to be getting these calls. You guys are going to be taking over. And then the only person that got a call was Dee Dee. And they called her, and then they made her an alternate. No, they called her, dropped her. Then we went to X on the Beach, and it was the same thing. I was like, the producers, once again, they're like, oh, if you want a challenge call, you're definitely going to get one, like, after this, blah, blah. And then they called Dee Dee, and I was like, oh, awesome, one of us. And then they made her an alternate and then dropped her right before they left to go film. And I was always so confused. And then in the future seasons from then. I'm like, why not call more MTV people? You guys keep calling, and then, no offense to them, but like, you guys keep calling Big Brother and CBS. And on top of that, you guys see what the fans say. You guys see that the fans prefer real MTV people than Big Brother. And you guys are also, the weirdest part about it is that I thought, okay, maybe they're calling people from Survivor and Big Brother and things like that because they want their fandom, but their fandom doesn't even ever switch over. So it doesn't really make sense because it doesn't translate, because they don't care to see that. If they're Big Brother fans, they like Big Brother. If they're Survivor, they like Survivor. And I'm like, why not bring people from MTV shows that have a following, that the fans already know them from MTV, and bring them here? They don't have to figure out who the hell are these new people. No, they're like, oh, I remember her from this show. I remember her from this. I remember when he did this. And oh my God, he was so crazy. I can't wait to see him on the challenge. And it's so weird that they don't take advantage of those things, because they have so many options of so many good people that they could bring on. I mean, I think about just the people that they already brought on from different MTV shows. Everybody provides, and you don't hear the fans complaining about them. They're the ones that bring the drama. It's very rare that it's a CBS cast member. I don't know.
No, 100%. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. Josh is very polarizing. Josh Martinez on the challenge, right? And he, people either love him or hate him. I personally like him. I think he's an underdog. I like to root for the underdog. But his fandom didn't come over from Big Brother. It came from the challenge, because people got to see him multiple times, over and over and over again. And whether you love him or hate him, he gives attention. People talk about him all the time, and that's kind of the thing. You know what I mean?
Same thing with Michelle. I think Michelle is one of those people too who, I don't think she brought anybody over, but she built her own fan base. It was like a love-hate thing, no matter what they were talking about her. So it was important. You know what I mean? It's better to be talked about than not be talked about.
100%. And not to say that they don't bring some people over, but it's not what I think MTV would really want. Like, for instance, ironically, Tony is a big Jay fan and was brought over because of Total Madness. That's how we all met.
I didn't even make that connection. That's hilarious.
I was going to bring it up. So I was a Survivor fan first. And so when Jay came over, it's actually the first time I had heard about the challenge, because in Canada, MTV not as big of a thing. So he came over, and the guy who won his season had posted about it on Instagram. And I was like, okay, I'll check this out, like see what the challenge is. So while I was watching Total Madness, I was also going back and watching all the old seasons. So by the time that Total Madness ended, I was also caught up with everything that had aired beforehand.
Yep. I was like, you must. I feel like I wish I could go back and like remember the feelings of how it felt to rewatch those seasons. I'm not gonna lie, I actually was rewatching them when he was gone filming Exatlon. I forget what season I left off on, but I was rewatching it and I was like, oh, I love watching these moments, and also how different the challenge is then than it is now. But
and that's one of the things too. Like, I think that it's really indicative of the group that you came up in for the challenge, is that you play, there's a different style to how you play. And part of it is that thing that you were talking about with Michelle and Olivia, and that opportunity to redeem themselves. So it's not like you mess up once and you're done, and we'll probably end up being on a rival season together. It's, here's another opportunity, because we want everyone to succeed. We also are in a situation where we know that we're going to keep playing together. So we might as well play together as an alliance than as all these individuals.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, being on the Jay topic, I don't hate the guy, but it was a weird, like I said, I care about my friends that I was friends with on the outside more. I hold them to a higher standard than I hold people that I met on the show, because I've just met you on the show. But I knew him for a long time. I wouldn't have gone through X on the Beach and made it through. I don't think Jay either. Both of us wouldn't have made it through X on the Beach without each other. And they don't show how much our friendship was on X on the Beach. But like, my entire season, my friendship was Dee Dee and Jay. So those were my people. Though he was the person that I would cry to, vice versa. He would cry to me. We were always having each other's backs, and we hung out small amounts of times in the real world, but that didn't take away that love that I had for him and that respect, because once we played, we went into Ride or Dies, and we had one conversation where literally we said, we have each other. Yeah. And we never had to talk about it again. It was understood. And I always had Michelle's back because that was his Ride or Die. And I didn't even have to think twice about it. And because of how much I cared for him, then same thing for 39. We go into 39 and we have, once again, well, before 39, we had already talked, obviously, we have each other's backs. Like, Nurys, you're my number one. I have to say Michelle is my number one because technically she's my ride or die. I have to say my number one. So I have both of you guys as number ones, but just know you guys are on different scales because of different friendships. I was like, okay. And I always, like I said, I loved him so much and I had him at such a high standard that even after everything that happened, I still really just wanted a real apology and a real, like, hey, we're actually friends. Like, fuck the game. Like, honestly, I could never go back on the challenge again. You could never go back on the challenge again. And I just feel like we need to have a real conversation. And he called me, like, he had months to call me. The show ended in July, or August. Ended in August. And we didn't film the reunion till January. He called me a week prior. And he had months. And so it just sucked for me because I was like, wow, I actually really loved you, really valued our friendship. I was put in such hard places on this season and I still stayed true to being your friend. And the one thing you could have done was call me and actually show some real remorse, real, like, that you cared about me as a friend. And you didn't do that, but you called me a week prior to us going on to the reunion. And I entertained it. I pretended like I was okay. But I was like, because I knew what it was. It was just because he didn't want me to eat him alive and expose him on the reunion. So I just kind of was like, okay, yeah, we're fine. Yeah, we're good. And I got off the call and I was like, I already know that when we get to the reunion, I'm not going to be nice because at this point now I know that it's calculated and you didn't actually care for me as a friend. You actually it was the opposite. Maybe you really were just using me for the game. And then also as his friend, seeing how much he talked about Michelle and how much he didn't want her to be his number one, but he felt like she had to be his number one because they did Ride or Die together for the fans and for the storyline. That was awesome. I have to have Michelle as number one because of the storyline, because of the fans, storyline. And then it made me realize, I was like, okay, maybe he's just someone who cares so much about the show that that's more important to him than his actual real friendships. And to me, that's just not someone that I care to have as a friend in my life. And like, no shade to him. Like I said, I think maybe in the future there could be some reconciliation. Maybe we could be in a better place. But I was like, it would take a lot for me to actually go to be in that place with him because of everything that has gone on. And
yeah, I mean,
we might need a rival season.
I mean,
I thought it would have been an interesting one if we would have actually been on Rivals this season, because I do think they would have gotten a lot of raw interactions between me and him, because we actually haven't, like I said, we didn't even speak after the reunion either. And I haven't really cared to. And I mean, I don't talk shit about him, but that's just, I always just say these things and that's just the way that I feel.
No, 100%. And I mean, look, even as a challenge fan, you watch certain backstabs happen and crosses happen. But look, to me, sometimes when Jay said certain things and pulled certain moves on 39, it came off as malicious. It didn't come off as I'm just making this move because it's best for me in this game. And look, I've talked to other people on that season that made some really shitty decisions that season too. And I was like, just correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you got gaslit from multiple different directions and made some poor decisions yourself. And that person was like, yeah, that's pretty much exactly what happened. Yeah. Now, I mean, they might be saying that to make themselves feel better or sound better. Everybody's responsible for their actions, but I don't know. There was some wild raw emotion that happened in 39. And it's funny because that season gets so much hate from the fans, but it gave so much. It literally gave us everything we wanted. We wanted new cast. We got it. We wanted fucking double crosses and backstabs and relationships and everything. And you guys delivered on everything except for Emmanuel because. But. Oh, Horacio, what's going on, man?
How you doing?
Wait, I'm sorry. What did you say?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, just hanging around.
How's your knee doing, buddy?
Great as well. I had a triathlon yesterday, so that means I'm back.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I'm back I just got to get back into shape. I'm not in good shape right now. I kind of felt in good shape.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's terrible shape.
I'm not in good shape, but I got third in my age group. But I'm not in good shape. I'm not.
Not at all. Just you better quit while you're ahead. Just be done now. Just it's over.
Yeah.
Your career's done.
Done.
I was gonna say, I was hoping you weren't gonna have like surgery because like I remembered when you were on and you told us how you went to Mexico and everything that happened during that surgery.
Oh God.
Yeah, I was actually going to do round 2. I called back that same doctor because I'm like, it was a way he did a great job. But then, once I did the MRI, it just showed that I didn't need it. Well, when I spoke to a doctor, he said I didn't need it, which is weird because I had 2 MRIs. One of them said I had like complex tears of a whole bunch of things. And the other one came out saying like, no, you have a tear, but you don't need that surgery. So it was, I don't know if the machine down in the Dominican Republic doesn't work or what, but I'm good. Just doing therapy. And like I said, after that triathlon yesterday, it kind of opened my eyes to like, all right, man, it's time to jump back on it. And I told Nurys, like, this comeback is personal. So I'm getting back to it.
Man, we love to hear
Nice.
that, man.
Yeah.
Happy you're doing
Yay.
good.
We love it. Glad you're doing good.
Yeah, thank you. You guys are all good?
Yeah.
Oh, doing
Everything's
awesome,
going
man.
great here. Yeah.
We're gonna wrap up here pretty quick, so you get your lady back.
Yeah. No, you guys did a thing. Good to see you guys.
It's
Good
great
to
talking to
see
you, buddy.
He was in the room with his headphones on. He just came out. I was like, oh, I guess.
He's
It's
the
like he
coolest
looks
guy.
like he just got back from like a run or something.
Honestly, I really don't know what he was up to. That's what I told him this morning. He woke up this morning and I was like, do you want to go to the gym? He's like, no. I was like, you look like you want to go work out. Now I feel like I need to go work out. Having him as a boyfriend, I mean, I'm grateful for it because like it's motivating, but like sometimes I'm like, why are we doing all these crazy things? The craziness. And I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to get better for it. So it's okay. But God, I don't want to go run for miles. I don't.
If the zombie apocalypse happens, you guys are gonna outrun everyone. You're good.
I'm out.
I'm really clumsy, so I might trip and get caught.
I think like every time I learn, like every couple months, I'll learn something new about Horacio's like, you know, competitive side or his workouts or his routine or anything like that. And I think it was maybe a couple months ago, he did like this massive run thing that he didn't end up finishing.
The 100-miler, yeah.
And he wasn't able to finish it. And he had wrote about it and said, so now I have to punish myself. And I was like,
What? Was that not
what
punishment
does
enough?
that even mean? What do you mean punish yourself?
How long this dang race lasted, and he didn't even finish. It was so long that I was just shocked, truly jaw dropped, that I'm like, people do this for fun? People pay to do this, to torture themselves? That's insane. Yeah, he did. I think he did almost 80 miles of it. And then his legs gave out. His body was like, I cannot. His body literally physically was like, please stop.
Yeah.
His body said, sit down, sir.
And that was my thing is I was like, you act like you set out with like a goal of like 5 miles and only did 1. No, you did 80 miles. You don't have to punish yourself.
Exactly.
It's okay. You
No break
rest.
in between. Like he would come like when he finally, because it was like one big loop. So, and it was 10 miles each loop. So when he would come back, I would kind of time it to have like his food and everything ready and like have clean socks and everything to help him like redo it. Like he would just do that. He probably would stay in the area for like at max 10 minutes. That was just because he needed to change things out, change clothes, and then he would go right back out to do it. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to sit here for another couple hours waiting for him to come back. And it was like an overnight thing. It was a lot.
And the wild thing is like I've listened to David Goggins talk about this, and David Goggins is like a
He loves
glutton
that
for
area.
punishment. Yeah, and he talks about like what happens when your body runs that distance. It's some wild shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyways.
I'm gonna digress.
level.
We're gonna all of a sudden get National Geographic up in here. We're gonna have to bring Horacio back. You know what I mean? Look, I know. We said 90 minutes, and we're getting really close to that. I I know we all have some questions that we want to ask.
Yeah, I just don't know what you guys talked about while I was gone.
I just think
We just talked about Zara while you were gone, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
yeah, that was it. One of my questions, kind of two-part. I'm still going to press you for the Mount Rushmore on the women's side,
Okay.
and then I've got another back to back, like I'm Kendrick right after that. So
Okay. So, Laurel, I feel like she has to be on there.
you don't have to. You don't have to. It's
You
all
don't
right.
have to.
I
Are you
don't.
sure?
I don't have to. I don't like her, but I like I said, I give credit where credit's due. And I do think that it's hard to you can't be a hater when it comes to who she is as a competitor. Like, she really is a great competitor. I've watched it with my own eyes, and so I know. And like, even if she goes on out of shape, out of training, she's really good. And I don't think that she even really trains for the challenge, which is why I feel like I have to give her credit, because I don't think she trains. I think she's just naturally good. So I have to give her that. Obviously, I'm biased. I really like Cara, so I got to give Cara that credit too. I think Coral is one of them as well.
Absolutely.
For the last one, I feel like this will be, I don't know. It's always a hard one, the fourth, because I feel like there's a lot of people that could possibly have that. But why am I like brain farting? I am brain farting. I'm trying to think of who else. If we're talking, I don't like to give too much credit to the people that were on the seasons way back when, because I feel like the challenge has evolved a lot and has changed a lot, and in my opinion has become harder. So back then the challenges were easier and it was easier to win. Now it's a lot harder, and the finals are harder, and everything that you have to be as a competitor is harder. So I try to base it off of like now, and I know people don't like Tori, but I watch Tori kick fucking ass. I watch her kick her ass, her own ass outside of it. She trains hella hard. She tries really hard. I think she plays a great social game. I think she is a great competitor. Like I said, I watch it in person and I'm like, she's great. So I think I might have to give it to her. I think I'm also brain farting on a lot of people right now. So I might come back and let you guys know if I change my mind about those four. But I'll stick to those.
Fair.
It's an
I like
ever
it.
evolving list is what it is.
It does.
And
yeah,
it depends
does.
on the day, too.
Look, and I think you can make a real argument for Tori now after season 40 going against the competitors that she went against and as far as she got. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
The next question I have is, you mentioned before on TV that you're really into music. You love music. With that being said, you're getting ready to go into elimination and you're trying to get yourself in the right frame of mind. What's your hype song?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I feel like for some reason my brain instantly just told me Meek Mill, but I can't think of the song, what the name of the song is called right now. Let me see. Hold on. I think my brain told me Meek Mill. I didn't even have to think. So let me see. I think it's called. Where is it? Yeah.
What's the title of that one?
Well, one of those two. But I really like Meek Mill. He's always been like a hype man for me. Maybe something girly too. Fun fact, for the mini final on 38, it's funny because I had press-on nails that I would put on the weekends there when we were doing nothing, and I had these long press-on nails.
I always wonder about that. I always love your nails, too. Sorry, Squirrel. Keep going.
I had these really long press-on nails for 38, and when we were driving to the mini, we didn't know it was a mini final, but we were driving to the challenge, and I had these long nails on, I completely forgot, and Tori's like, are you going to compete with those? I was like, no, I would if they weren't going to just pop off. I was like, I don't want to lose them because they're the only nails I have for the season. Pop them off in front of everybody. Everyone's like, what? And I'm just like, them off.
I got it.
And then we do the final. I mean, do the mini final, and the song "Best Friend" by Saweetie played in my head the entire time. That's my best friend. She
Real bad bitch got her own money.
She don't need no.
And it literally played over and over in my head nonstop to the point where I was over the song. And when we finished the final and Tori came up to me, she's like, I just want to say you're fucking badass. You killed that. Like, she was like, she goes, wait, did you take your nails off? And I was like, yeah. And then she was like, truly, like, how did you do that? Like, you were doing, Tori's always been so great and gives me like my praises, right? So she's like, how the hell did you do that? You were kicking ass the whole time. And I was like, honestly, song Best Friend just played in my head, and it was the biggest motivator for me. I literally felt like it was because I had Nelson there, and it was like, that's my best friend. I'm talking about him, and in my head, I'm like, the whole time, that's the song that motivated me. And she was like, I'm going to give that a try next time. I know I'll do it. I don't know why it worked for me.
That's so awesome.
It just kind of like all clicked, and I don't know why, but like in season 40, that should have been the conversation that happened, was not Corey and Amanda. It should have been Corey and you talking about Nelson.
Uh-huh.
I actually, like I said, I actually wanted that to be a thing, but that never actually happened. Like I said, I don't think I had enough time. But yeah, it definitely should have been. But also, even Amanda, like I will say, me and Amanda got eliminated obviously together, and I fucking love Amanda too. I'm maybe biased. I went into 40 literally saying, this bitch better not fucking try it with me because she talks shit on social media. That's what I said. I walk onto the plane. I didn't even want to say hi to her because I was like, oh, I don't know how we feel about each other. But I put my pride to the side and I walked all the way to the back of the plane. She was by herself, and I was like, hey, just wanted to introduce myself. And we talked for like 0.2 seconds, and I still was like hesitant. And then we walked into the house, and we actually had, it says a lot when Horacio likes somebody. He loved her. He really liked her. And we got to see her side, like that other side of her, and we're like, we really like you. But anyways, back on topic. We got eliminated, and security guards walked out of the little like hotel place that they had us, and they walked out. And the moment they got out, we literally were like, get our phones. So we like stole our phones back from security guards. And when we stole our phones, she got her phone, turned it on. The first phone call she made was to Nelson. Phone call. Like it wasn't her family, it wasn't anybody else. And so to me, that showed to me that she cared about him so much. And she called him, and it was just funny because like after she talks to him, she talked to him, and then she's like, look who's here too. And then he's like, both of you? We're like, what the hell? And then she's like, and you know why I'm here? Because of Corey. And she was like, no, man. And he was like, Corey screwed you over? She's like, yeah, fuck your friend. And she's just going off. And I just loved her because I was like, I just feel bad for people that get on her bad side, because when you're on her good side, she's so nice. She's actually so funny. And like I said, she was great. So we loved having conversations with her and getting to know her. She loves her son. I loved hearing about how much she loves him. And like, you could just tell she's a great mom. And I don't know, like I said, I really liked her. And it was funny to see her go off on other people. It made us, he is a troll. I've never met someone that literally is like, you know what? I'm going to go fucking press your buttons until you explode. And she's just the whole time. And I was like, watching it in person was hilarious. Honestly, I was like, eating my popcorn. Me and Horacio sitting together, like, do you see this? And we loved it. It was fun.
So Karina's not a huge fan.
No,
but
I'll just say I do not like Amanda. I find her to be very superficial. And I'm like, for TJ to call somebody out and say, why are you pretending to be something you're not? You're not like this. You're a nice girl. Why are you pretending to be that? Like, TJ's never called somebody out for something like that. So I'm like, and also, I am an extremely loyal bitch, and Tori is my number one. I literally have her phone number and text her and like send her gifts. She sends my kids Christmas gifts. Like, so I'm like, I can't allow myself to like Amanda because I am just loyal to Tori. But, you know, I've heard that she is different, like if you get to know her away from the show, and everybody tries to make good TV, and I can't really hate on her for that because it does get interesting to watch. So
it does. I went into it very, very, very hesitant. Like, I was like, I don't know. Like I said, when I wasn't going off on anybody, I really liked her. I liked the personality. Like I said, it takes a lot to get Horacio out of his shell, and she did a good job of like making him feel comfortable, and just like,
that's good.
It was fun. We had great conversations with her. She was super nice, and like, but also on the other end, I do see that she can be, I wouldn't say bully, maybe bully. I don't know what the word would be, because she does do it on purpose. But I think that's why I also kind of like her, because she's doing it on purpose. It's not like, I don't think she's trying to pretend to be someone else. No, she knows, okay, yeah, you know what? Today I'm gonna piss this one off because I want to. And she doesn't speak lies when she says things. I feel like a lot of times she's saying truths about the things that other people say. I don't know how to explain it. She tells it like it is, and she says things that other people are afraid to say, or other people are saying behind other people's backs. But I don't know. I do think she takes it too far sometimes.
I think for me, what really gets me with her is it's the constant like body attacks on other women, like constantly attacking Tori over her body. And I'm just like, you are not a girl's girl. And I'm like so much a girl's girl that like, I can't.
Those things. Yeah. The personal jabs like that, I will never, like I said, I don't attack those things. Like I'm going to attack you. I'm going to attack you on the things that you're doing to me or doing to other people. So I get that.
Choose to do. Yeah.
I think using the term troll is very accurate.
Perfect.
That's the word.
Yeah, I think that because I don't think Amanda's a bully. I think she'll stand up for herself. Mm-hmm. I think she'll purposely decide I'm going to fuck with these people.
Yeah,
and as a millennial, I get that. I totally get that. My love language is if I talk shit to you. That's my love language.
So that's totally me. Like the other day we were at Harry Potter World. I like go to tell, I don't know why. It's because I call my friends, like I'm always like bitch to my friends. And I always use that word. And I said it to Horacio the other day. He turned his head so fast. He's like, what did you call me? I was like, nothing. I was like, he was so confused. And mind you, I told him, I said, give me a kiss, bitch. That's what I said. And he literally was just like, huh? And I was like, I don't know why that happened. He's like, I could tell that you didn't mean to say that. I was like, I didn't. I was like, but I'm just so used to like talking to my friends like so aggressively that it came out like that to him. And he was like, huh, we were on the ride. I wanted a kiss before the ride took off. And that's what I said. I was like, give me a kiss, bitch. And he was like, huh?
My husband and I talk to each other like that all the time. Like if there was a Big Brother camera in our house, it would think we're so mean to each other. I literally did it as I was coming upstairs to do this. I was like, peace, bitch. And it's just, he'll get used to it eventually. Just, that was like the Band-Aid getting ripped off.
But that's your swear at all.
Oh, okay.
I definitely do. Every other word is fuck or something.
Yeah.
You just have to get used to that. And now it's the funniest thing because now I randomly catch him swearing. And when he does, you guys should see his reaction because he'll say fuck and he'll be like, I didn't mean to say that.
He's like a little kid.
Trouble. He's like, I didn't mean to say that. I was like, I don't care if you say. He's like, no, but I don't like that. I said that. I don't like it. I'm like, it's okay.
Get the swear jar out.
I'm a bad influence.
No, I think that's great that Horacio's starting to pick it up from you. I actually really enjoy that.
Like I said, I can't wait. I'm going to have him ready for the day that they call him back and the day that he actually decides to go back. He's going to be so different. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, you could tell he's been hanging out with Nurys too much. I'm like, yeah.
Look,
you're welcome.
I don't want to spoil anything for the fans, and I could be wrong, but like, I think we're all under the assumption that the fact that you, Horacio, and Kylan are going to get callbacks is kind of like a foregone conclusion.
It's a given.
Look, out of the if you were going to ask, hey, who are 3 rookies over the last since season 31 that have delivered the most on 2 or more seasons, your guys' 3 names are going to come up. We've got the guy that tied the record for most elimination wins, goes to the finals first season. The only reason he doesn't place in said finals because a freak accident happens,
literally,
with bad safety equipment.
Yeah,
and then
that's all production's fault.
And then you have a great run. You break the longest standing drought of all challenge history with Nelson's daily win drought, and then you do it multiple times. You guys get multiple daily wins. Mm-hmm. You don't make it to the final, but then you come in on 39, and not only that, but you go against the 2 toughest people in the house in Kylan and Horacio. Beat their asses in elimination. Mm-hmm. Just saying, and then you get revenge on 2 more people in elimination that have fucked with you the whole season, and then get to watch Jay walk out, get to watch Michelle walk out, and you're the first woman to cross that finish line and really the champ. I mean, you can't really ask for more. And then Kylan's first season's 39. He's the only one that's talking sense against all the bullshit that we're seeing. And then he's the only one that stands up to Johnny and be like, come on, Johnny, you knew that was going to happen. You've done 20 seasons of this, and then makes the final in season 40. Like, you guys have brought more than anything else. I know I just did a TED talk. I'm sorry about that.
Well, I mean, the only thing I will say is that not any of us 3 got a call for 41.
So
That is the wildest shit.
it's a very, like I said, I understand me.
Yeah.
I understand me. I got a big ass mouth. I understand. I want to get time out for a bit. Totally understandable. I was mostly shocked about Kylan, to be honest, because I think he should have gotten the respect of at least getting the call. If he didn't fit the theme, cool. But I think that they should have definitely have called him. To just availability would have been nice. But I don't think they did it. I mean, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how that happened. So that did suck because I'm like, he made it so far. So for him not to even get that call to see if he's on there, that was dumb. That was dumb on their part. I was like, he's
100.
provided enough. And I don't know if they were trying to tie him in with me and Horacio and try to punish him as well because he's part of our friend group. But I think if that's the case, I do think that's fucked up because he doesn't deserve that. Like, and yeah, but I think
and he didn't even really speak out much about the controversial elimination.
He did, but so did everybody else. Like,
I'm like, are you going to punish Jordan?
Devin said way more than almost anybody else. Devin said more than me.
Yeah.
And Devin got the call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jordan. I know Jordan. But
I don't know if Jordan got a call or not because Jordan says he's done with the challenge. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but
right.
So I don't know if they were going to, because same thing like Horacio says he's done. So I think that's why they didn't call. And same thing with Jordan, but I don't know. But like I said, there were so many people that spoke out. So if people are, and even if they spoke out on the opposite end, like everybody's, the consensus was production fucked up, regardless of which side you were on. So it was just weird that some people got punished and some people didn't get punished, but that's just how the game goes. And that's how it kind of goes with them sometimes. So like I said, for me, I understood they can punish me all they want. It will suck if I don't get a call back because of that, because at the end of the day, there's people that have done worse, said worse. I've experienced it firsthand in person, people that treat production way worse in person and say nastier things in person. So I'm like, if you guys will allow that, but don't allow someone who was essentially right to have spoken her mind, then I mean, one thing I've always said, I will be sad if I never get to go back on the challenge, but I will not be too upset about it because I know God doesn't play about me, and I know that I will have other opportunities. And if you guys don't see me on the challenge, you guys will see me on a different TV show, and that's fine. That's fine. And if you guys don't see me on TV, you guys will still see me on some type of store, some type of music video, somewhere you guys will see me. So I'm okay with it. As a fan, I would be sad to not be able to play the game again. I love it. And I love my supporters, and I love going on there. It's so much, it really is so much fun. But if I don't, I completely understand that I did it to myself. So I'm not too upset.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and speaking of other shows that we could potentially see you on, I just remembered you have your own show that you host. Can you tell us a little bit about Hot Dates and like how you got into that, how you started it, what made you want to do it, what it's about, all the fun stuff?
I loved Hot Dates. We've actually taken a break because my other producer actually is a producer for like actual like TV. So he's been super busy. But my show Hot Dates is a show where we bring singles that have essentially already connected but never actually met in person. We bring them to meet in person. So we want them to already be attracted to each other. We don't want to do it as a blind date because we want you guys to have some type of chemistry. I would hate to bring somebody and they're like, ew, I don't like this guy, because the date is kind of off then. So two people that have already essentially swiped right on each other, have either talked, never met, whatever the case may be, but are attracted to each other, put them on a date to, I guess, get to know each other. But while they're doing that, we are trying to get them out of their comfort zone by making them eat spicy food. And there's 3 levels, so it gets spicier as it goes. And then at the end of the date, they can decide whether they want to go on a second date or if they want to call it quits. But if they want to call it quits, they have to eat this spicy dessert. And if they want to go on, they can cool down with like ice cream or whatever sweeter, cooler thing we have for them at the time. And it's been really fun. It's been really, I've enjoyed it. It's my first time ever hosting anything. I've never done that. Scary because, like I said, I don't like to public speak. So the moment I get up knowing that I have kind of essentially a script and I'm going up, and mind you, there's only the daters and like the camera crew and the other producers there.
my heart is like, it's like pounding out of my chest the entire time. But it's been fun to get myself out of my own comfort zone. And doing something fun, doing something that I love. The episodes, to me personally, and everybody that I've shown my episodes to, find the episodes to be hilarious. So they're more on the comedy side, honestly, than like super serious, like trying to fall in love. Like they've been way more lighthearted and like super raw. I like people to talk about whatever the hell they want to talk about. We don't censor anything. We kind of just let them be who they are. And it's fun for me because it feels like I'm kind of like a third wheel on this date, because I kind of just put in my 2 cents here and there, and they can bounce back off of it. And it's like I said, I've had a good time. And I was like, wow, I never thought I'd be a mini TJ over here.
No, I love it. And it was like so funny because when we were like going through and we're writing out like the questions and the topics we wanted to talk, there was just so much to talk to you about. And I was just like completely forgot about the show. And I'm glad that you said whatever you said that triggered it, because I love watching hot dates. I think it's hilarious. Every time I see you like post on Instagram, like, oh, there's a new episode, like immediate first thing, everything else stops. I got to get onto YouTube and I got to watch hot dates because it's so funny. I love it. So
first we wanted to get off of like people that were never on TV and stuff. But the more I posted those, like the more I posted an episode, the more people were saying like, bring on people that we know. And so it's been hard to try to find balance. We do want to bring it back and do it better once he's not working, because he's a producer for a cooking show right now. So he's been like really, really busy. Actually, fun fact, this is my producer from Are You the One that I'm doing this with.
that's cool.
That's wild.
That's awesome.
The one that gave me the bad edit. That's his fault. His fault. I give him shit for it all the time because I think it's hilarious because on Are You the One, the edit was so... It was accurate-ish, obviously, because I said and did the things that I did, but it was put in such a weird timeline that it made it look not like what how actually happened. So I always give him shit. Almost every time I see him, I'm always like, you do know that the reason why I got so much hate was because of you, right? Like, it's all you. And he was the producer that decided to, I don't know if you guys know, but the first 5 seasons of Are You the One used to say, like, Tyler from Boston, Massachusetts.
Right.
And then my season, they decided to put relationship problems under us, and they put side chick situation. Oh, these balloons.
Oh, balloons. That's fitting to your last costume we saw on TV.
Side chick situation. I said side chick situation. And then to the public, because that was supposedly my relationship problem going into the show. The public, still to this day, I have people being like, oh yeah, because you're a known side chick. I was like, I have never once I have never cheated. I have never been the person to be the other woman willingly. I actually was cheated on and found out the other guy had a different girl. That was the only time. And I was like, and even on Are You the One, Dee Dee was actually the other woman, not me. But the way that they show it on TV was me. And so that's why I got all this hate, and they made it seem like Dee Dee and him were together. I interfered when it actually was me and him, and she interfered. And so I still give him shit all the time because I'm like, you're the damn reason that I got all this hate, and now we're working together. So I think it's funny.
That is funny.
Okay, I have to ask this now because hearing about the Malcolm and Dee Dee thing, you and Raven, like it's almost the same trajectory.
Yeah, it really is. It really, really is. When I tell you, the universe is just so funny in the way that it works. I truly I love it. I love it and hate it at the same time. But me and Raven, I guess if you want to know my version from the beginning, actually, I would say it's both of our versions, because even when I talked to her about it, and we've talked about it now as friends and we laugh about it, we kind of are on the same page about things. But they don't show it, once again, the way they show it more intensely, I guess, on my end, as if I'm the aggressor, when it really wasn't that way at all. I actually, when we went in there and I had instantly seen like Raven the way that she was, I actually had one-on-one conversations with her multiple times, where it was just me and her, and it was me being a girl's girl and me telling her like, listen, I've been there. You've never been on TV, never. So you don't know how this works, and you don't know. And I told her, I was like, you don't understand. And I was like, I've been been in a situation like this, and it looks bad. And I explained it to her. I was like, it doesn't look good. There's no reason for me to be arguing. You don't want this storyline. I promise you, you do not want this storyline. Like, I've been there. It's not a good look to have 2 women fighting over an ain't shit guy. Like, trust me. And even at the time, I would say that. And even though I was still seeing him, like, I was like, no, you don't want that. Like, and it was always, I think I talked to her 2 or 3 times and tried to like get her to understand that. And then the moment I would leave, she'd go into another room and talk to somebody else, and it would start right back up, because then the person would be like, oh, she just said this. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, we just had a conversation where this is not the storyline that you want. And like, I tried to be a friend too, because I was like, help me understand, like, what was he lying to you about? Like, be stronger than this. If a man is not wanting you, trust me, you don't want to sit here and try to be the placeholder, like, and try to wait for him. Like, he's never going to change his mind. And I tried. And then finally we got drunk one night, and then that's when we argue in the kitchen, and it becomes this whole huge thing. Like I said, obviously from there, me and her had so much drama outside the show, when the show was re-airing. And then once again, there were so many times where I called her and privately, and I was like, hey, once again, this is not a good look. We're arguing on Twitter. We're arguing on Instagram Live. Like, this is not the thing to do. Like, this, we have to move past this. And it kind of would always go back. So then when we got into season 39, we instantly threw her into our alliance, because we had a 38 alliance, Ride or Dies alliance. And we all were just so hesitant to like have her in the alliance. And I will be honest and say, like, I didn't like her. I didn't trust her. And I was like, no, this girl will never be my cup of tea. I will protect her because we're protecting each other. But like, it's not going to go past that. And then actually what Raven did, which I still die laughing to, Raven's a funny girl. So Huhui got eliminated. And so now my room is me, Zara, and Olivia, and we have an extra bed. And this is before me and Horacio started. And we hear Raven go up to one of the PAs, and we hear the conversation. She's like, hey, I don't want to be in the room with Berna and Colleen. I don't feel comfortable with them. I want to move to Nurys and Zaza's room. We were like, hell no. We scrambled. We went to production. We're like, we did not put her in our room. No way in hell you guys are not forcing her to be in our room. And then we went and we got Horacio. We're like, Horacio, because they had just showed down in a different room. So Horacio was now in the room with the girls. We're like, Horacio, do you want to be in our room? He was like, yeah, sure. We're like, no, do you actually? Because we're going to tell production you're going to be our roommate. Like, you understand? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. And go to production. We're like, nope, we have a roommate. The bed's taken. You guys can't give it to Raven. There's no way. And Raven, little liar, she goes to production. She goes, well, I don't feel comfortable, because it was her. Yeah, I think Horacio was in the room, and a different guy got put into the room. I don't remember who it was. She tells them, I don't feel comfortable sleeping in a room with men. And the moment they said that, production was like, well, valid, and we cannot not value that.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to be in a room with men because you don't feel comfortable, then fine, you will be in the room with the girls. And she nest her way into our room. And we were pissed, because we were like, you liar, you know being in a room with men. We were so pissed. Like, the first day or two, none of us really wanted to talk to her, because we were like, we did not want her in our room. Probably by the 3rd day, we were like, okay, she's not too bad. And Raven's just very different. Like, she is the type to wake up in the morning and fart super loud. What the hell? And she would burp all the way. And we were like, Raven, what? This is not what we wanted our room to be like. And I think from those little moments of us constantly bitching at her, because we would bitch to her, like, Raven, what the hell? The room smells, or things like that. Care. She's the one to and she would tell you guys if she was here. She's like, yep, I like to fart, and I'm a fart if I need to. She does not care. And those little moments where, let's say Olivia and Za weren't in the room and it was just me and her, let's say I'm doing my makeup. Now those little moments where we're having actual real conversations start to happen. And I was like, okay, maybe I like her. So I was like, do I like this girl? I was like, I don't know if I actually like her. I was still trying to figure it out, but we had so many great conversations. And then at the end of the day, she reminds me of Dee Dee. So much, personality wise, not even because of the story that our trajectory, what was going on, but who she was as a person. And I was like, I told her all the time, you remind me of my best friend. And she's like, really? I was like, no, seriously. I was like, so I got a soft spot. And I was like, and then when they kept throwing her in, I was like, okay, I felt bad. I was a part of it, I think the first time. And I think the second time I was like, I'm not throwing her in. I'm not. And then me and her finally had a one-on-one. We actually had a great one-on-one. We cried our eyes out for an hour and a half. And it was such a great talk. They don't show it, but it was a great conversation between me and her. And we was, from there on, we were like this. That's and then it also helped because honestly, Olivia was being such a bad friend that whole season that me, Za, and Raven became super close, because although Olivia was my best friend, she really wasn't being much of a best friend at the time. So I kind of had to fall back, and I fell to being closer to my roommates because Olivia was our roommate, but was never in the room. She was always with other people. So I became super close with Zaza and Raven. The three of us became super close. And that's why we were at the end of it, we were all like this. And it was like, we were all the people that were like left out of all this other big friendship. And like, even though I knew I had the other people protecting me too, I didn't necessarily felt like they were my friends anymore. I knew my loyalty was always going to be with them too, but I became really good friends with Za and Raven, and it became so hard to try to protect them because I started to love them so much and started to not really care about my friends. But I always knew I was like, if I told you I have your back, I got your back. And then that's how we became really good friends.
Well, in the fact that you say that, just to tie it back to the Jay situation, I mean, you really did rock with them until the very end.
Mm-hmm. And there were so many times where I wanted to do just other things. So many times where I was like, okay, fuck this alliance. Like, the one thing I didn't like was the moment I felt like, and it's funny, I said in one of my interviews, I was like, I don't even have a real job. I don't even got a boss telling me what to do in the real world. And you think I'm going to have other people in here trying to tell me what to do? It was the moment I felt like I was a pawn in someone else's game that I no longer wanted to. I was like, it's one thing to be in an alliance. It's another thing to feel like you're being used. And that's what kind of got me to be in a place of wanting to do my own thing, but I couldn't. And like I said, at the beginning, I always pled my allegiance to this one alliance that it was supposed to be me, Jay, Michelle, Olivia, Kylan, and Horacio. That was essentially my first big alliance. So I always knew that those were the people I was going to protect the most. But obviously Jay didn't like it when I decided to make it a stalemate against Emmanuel because I didn't give a fuck about Emmanuel and he was never part of my alliance. And he was mad that I made it I made it a stalemate because he wanted it to be Horacio or Kylan. And I was like, I refuse to let it be Horacio or Kylan. I already pledged my allegiance to them. I'm going to throw in Emmanuel, who isn't my friend, who isn't my ally. And then they made it a stalemate because they didn't want to change their vote. And I was like, well, that's on you because I'm sticking by what I said. I'm not throwing in my friends. I'm going to throw in Emmanuel because I don't care about him. And then they got pissed at me because they made it a stalemate. And then CT chose a soft. Not my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I think, if it's not for Jay running the game the way he did, and then Mariah falling in show love with James, that central alliance you kind of had in the beginning of you women from 38, it would have carried you guys damn near to the end, because at the end of the day, it really should have been the women being like, we need to get every man in this house out, especially with there being only one winner.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and when I tell you, once we realized that, like I said, we realized it before I actually vocalized it, because there were certain moments where we would talk, me, Michelle, and Olivia, and like we would be like, we really can make this an all girls thing. And it kind of was more Michelle being like, I can't do that to Jay, which we understood, because I told her, I was like, listen, we don't have to directly shoot at Jay. That's not what I want to do either. I was like, but there are ways to make it so us women have an easier chance in the final. And then the final plays out the way that it did. And it just proved. And there were so many times where I told them, I was like, do you see? Because like the moment that you weren't partnered up with the man, you were always the lesser team every time. If you didn't have a man in your partnership for one of the checkpoints, that was a team that was going to get last place. And it happened in every single checkpoint. If you didn't have a man and I was like, do you see what I'm talking about? I was like, it either would have made sense to have it equal or actually have no men here, because at some point, if you have two men on a team and all the other teams are girl teams, we're not stronger than men. No matter who you are, we're never going to be physically stronger than men. We're not going to be as tall. We're not going to be as fast. And that's just the reality of it. You might be smarter, but maybe to get to the puzzle, you need to sprint there. We're never going to outrun a man. Like, that's just the reality of it. And so there were so many times where, like, I think that's why Berna kind of ended up really like clicking with me towards the end, because she was like, fuck, like, I now understand everything that you said. I now understand where you were coming from with so many things that you were saying, and that you weren't trying to attack or be shady. You were truly trying to help us out. And I was like, yes, I was trying to show you guys, like, I'm a very smart person. I was like, I haven't been able to show too much of my strategic side on the challenge. I'm like, but if people that know me know, I was like, I'm a very strategic person, and there's so many different things that I could have done, but I didn't get to play it in that way.
No, 100%. And I mean, look, part of my favorite part of this whole season was when you went at Berna in that elimination round. But okay, look, I know we said 90 minutes. We're already at 2 hours. My son's having a ball over there, so you probably hear him laughing in the background a little bit. Let's get to the last couple questions, guys. I want you guys to ask the questions you have, and then Karina,
I have my closing question.
Your closing question, and then that way you guys can have your evening back.
So we've been like dancing around it the whole time we've been talking, but I don't know. That sounds dramatic. So dramatic. You've been dancing around it.
No,
this
you
whole
keep
time.
going. This is good. We're going to edit this into good content.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I'm
this is such a good question too. But we have seen your growth as a human on TV over the years, and it is so refreshing. And I know for myself, like that's one of my favorite things about these kinds of shows on MTV is regardless of when you start and where you're at, to see your trajectory and see where you've gone and the very fiery human you still are, but that you have worked very hard to become. I was just wondering if you would be open to sharing with people some of your journey behind the scenes and like maybe some little tools that you have for other humans as to what like helps get you through conflict in a healthy, quote unquote, way.
It's funny that you say that because I was just talking to my best friend the other day and I was like, I think I need to find new ways to cope with my anger. Because I feel like lately I've been getting more frustrated easier. And I don't like that about myself. And I'm very self-aware when I know that I have to work on myself. So I've kind of been at that place right now of, I guess, trying to find new ways to kind of deal with that, if that makes sense. But I will say, I mean, I took anger management, and I'm never afraid to say, I mean, it was court ordered, but I did go into it fully trying to learn from that experience. I really wanted to take anger management seriously. Like I didn't just go into those classes because I needed to or because I was being told to, but I went in there with the mindset of like, I gotta actually learn these things. Like I gotta understand myself more and I have to not be so crazy all the time. So for me, honestly, it's funny because, I just made you disappear again.
We're still here. Don't worry.
Okay. So for me, I had, was just telling my best friend the other day, I was like, because crazy enough, talking to other people that dealt with the same thing made a big difference because it was nice hearing other people's stories. And my guy best friend told me the other day, he was like, do you think that it helped you so much because it made you realize that you're not as bad as you thought you were? Because when you do hear that there may be other things that are worse, you realize like, oh, wait, if there's people that's worse than me, that means I'm not at the worst part yet. I can still change. And if he was like, maybe that's what in your mind kind of showed you like, okay, I'm not doing too bad. I'm bad, but I can get better because there's people that are worse. And I was like, I definitely think that talking to other people that kind of dealt with the same things, or that definitely made a big difference. I do think therapy is a great to find out what the source of the anger is or the source of your triggers, because that was one of the most important things for us was talking about what triggered you, because people don't even realize like what their triggers are until they truly sit down and think about those things. If you don't sit there and like, what's triggering me? Like you're never going to figure it out. So for me, it was kind of sitting there and trying to realize, okay, what's triggering my anger? And that's kind of what I've been telling myself lately. Like what keeps triggering you to get annoyed? And it's been, I don't know why, but lately it's been like, if someone doesn't understand something, the moment I tell them, I'm like, oh, that's it. I'm done. I don't want to explain it no more. That's it. And I have like a short fuse for like, I guess I'd say like no common sense. And I'm like, Nurys, why are you getting so angry at someone not understanding something? And I have not understood, but I've now, because I realized that, okay, it's that little short fuse of maybe someone not having common sense right now. I'm like, Nurys, take a breather and explain it to them, because maybe they truly don't understand. So that's been one of those things that I've been implementing lately. I've been like, the moment I realize, okay, if I'm telling myself like, oh, this person's dumb, just stop for a second, breathe, think before you react. And that's been actually helping me, I would say, the last like week which has been nice because I don't know why, literally like everything in me was just triggering me. I was like, anytime I was talking to my mom's like, why don't you do this? I'm like, I already explained this to you. And I'm like, okay. And it's like little things like that. I'm like, sometimes people just don't understand, and that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with repeating yourself and having someone understand where you're coming from or what you're talking about, whatever the case may be. But I will be honest and say that I'm still trying to figure it out. Still trying to work on it. I will say, like, the challenge, they actually had provided in the past, I haven't done it in a long time, but they provide a lot of different like apps that they pay for that you don't have to pay for, like these therapy apps that I didn't even know they existed, but they're actually really expensive. I don't have them anymore, but there were these apps that like you can go on there, and there's different apps, like ones to help you with breathing techniques when you're with your anxiety and different things like that. Even ones that you can go on there and actually talk to therapists yourself. And they provided all those things. And I don't know if many people know that they provide those, but I read my contract very thoroughly. And so I always saw all the things that they do provide for you. And I took advantage of that. And I was making sure to use all those codes. And I was messaging them myself like, hey, I need these outlets. Can you guys help? And they did. And so I will say I also was doing little things like that, learning different breathing techniques that could help me in those moments, even speaking to somebody in those times. Because I'm like, it doesn't help to keep it. It's the worst thing to do is to keep it bottled in. I'd rather speak about it. And like I said, I'm just also very self-aware. The moment I don't like anything about myself, I will try to change it. Like, and it doesn't take much for me to not like the bad versions of myself. So.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, as a guy, I just keep everything bottled up inside me and will probably get heart failure at some point because of it. That's me making really light of a real situation. But I know you were laughing your ass off because as she was talking, that's you. But
yeah, I felt majorly called out. I definitely needed that question. Thank you, Katie. And thank you, Nurys, because that is my life. Like, I will tell you something one time. And if you're unable to comprehend that, that's a you problem, not a me. Don't come waste my time asking me to tell you again. We're not doing that. I'm just going to get irritated. And I've been trying so hard to get over that. I'm like, I have to stop being so frustrated and irritated with just like other people's existence. Like, just the fact that there are other people in the world some days, just that alone, I'm irritated. Like, why are you here?
It's only going to make you more annoyed to get annoyed at somebody else. So it's essentially, you're getting yourself double annoyed by getting yourself annoyed in the first place. So I also believe in faking the funk. Faking the happiness makes you happy.
There's like science behind it. I don't know what it is because I'm not a scientist, but there really is.
Like trigger, feel pissed in the moment. Sometimes I will tell myself, like, pretend you're not pissed. Just keep the smile on. And then probably 5 minutes later, I'm actually happy. And I forgot that I was just pissed. And I'm like, okay, so that worked. Let me just keep pretending. Like the fake the funk of being happy. And then you actually do, because you kind of forget about the bullshit. And you're not sitting there rethinking about the stuff that just got you annoyed. Because then the moment you ever like have a conversation with somebody or like argument, and then you walk away and you're like, damn, I could have said all these other things. And your brain's just telling you all these things you could have said in the argument. That's just going to get you re-pissed. Instead of you going back and being like, I'm not even going to think about that. Let me just go watch some TV, or let me go smoke, and let me just chill for a second. And then you forget the argument happened, and you can just come back to yourself. Okay. You're like, okay, I'm chilling.
Yeah. I mean, here's my thing. And like, I'm a big numbers person analytically. Like, that's just how my brain works. And I heard a saying, and it just stuck with me, which was, if you have $86,000 and someone takes $10, are you going to throw away the other 85,000 because of that? No, you're gonna hold on to that. It's $10, no sweat. Well, there's 86,000 seconds in a day. If someone steals 10 seconds from you, are you gonna let it ruin the rest of those? You shouldn't, really, over something small.
And I will say, like I was saying, it was court ordered. I also don't ever want to deal with all the bullshit I dealt with before, because lawyer fees are expensive, guys. Like, to anybody that ends up watching this, lawyer fees are expensive. Do not get yourself in trouble. Like, I can tell you guys, I don't care. I beat this girl up, and I've gotten in trouble quite a few times for fighting people. And I will say she started it. I finished it. But it was in my proudest moment. Obviously, it's definitely not my proudest moment. I dealt with so much. Just dealing with the lawyer fees alone set me back so much. Time-wise too, and just like everything that came out of that was the dumbest shit that I ever had to deal with. And I don't ever want to deal with that again, which is what was my main priority of going into anger management was like, I know how to control myself with my friends and my family. Like that's not a big deal, but it's when other people that don't know me piss me off that I'm very quick to react. And I've always been the same way my whole life. Like I've gotten in so many fights. I always think it's funny because people, I'm really like, I'm skinny, I'm tall, but I'm skinny. And so people always try me because they think she's not going to say anything. She's not going to do anything. And she's not capable of beating me up because she's so small. And it's actually the quite opposite. And it's like I've always been put in situations where I don't start these things, but I've always felt like I had to finish it because I didn't like the disrespect by someone who didn't know me or different things. And I was like, now that I've gotten older and I dealt with all those things, I'm like, fuck those people. Truly, fuck those people. They don't deserve a reaction from you. And like I said, that's why I don't mind clapping back to the people online sometimes. But in person, I was like, I don't ever want to let myself get so out of control that I have to go deal with any of those things ever again, because it was not fun.
100%. Tony?
Given that you're both a fan of the challenge and also like in the realm of reality TV, are there people that are kind of from past seasons that you would love to play with now? But then also, are there people who have yet to get the call to go to the challenge that you would want to play with or align with?
People that I would want to play with that haven't been called. Obviously, I would love my best friend Didi to go with me. Every time I do anything that has to do with like physical anything, she tells me, this is why I would never go on the challenge with you. And I'm like, okay. Because every time we do something, Horacio's here, I'm about here, and she's like here. She's like, but she don't want to try. That's why she's down here, because she don't want to try. She don't want to put the effort in. And so I would love for her, but I truly, like I say, probably anyone from my season of Are You the One, I would say, even if I wasn't there, I would love to see them get the opportunity to come on and play. I think they would bring something different to the show. I think that would be fun, especially because they keep casting, like I said, they keep casting all these newbies from Big Brother and stuff. And I think even if it wasn't people from my season, I think it would be nice to see them give the opportunity to someone that comes from MTV. Forget what season, anything else, but I think they need to give more chances to people from MTV, period. Like you're 100%. Calling 10 new CBS people and international people from shows that we don't know. Why don't you guys at least give the opportunity to the people that the fandom already knows of, or even like slightly, they could just go on and watch their season. They also, because it's MTV, you're actually, even when you introduce them, you're able to play clips from their shows. You can't do that for Survivor or Big Brother because they're not from your show. So imagine the publicity you could give to that person because they're from an MTV show. You can use the clips. You can show the world who they were because of that. Now, people that I haven't had the opportunity to play with that I would love to play with, I think Davon is definitely one of them. She doesn't want to come back to the flagship. Every time I ask her, she's like, All-Star is fine. But the other one, I was like, I would love to play with her. Like I said, I've always wanted to play with Ashley. Let me think about other people. I'm trying to think. I feel like some people from 40, because I was there for such a small amount of time, I don't feel like I got to really play the game with certain people. I've met Wes in person and I really like him, and I would love to be able to play a season with him. I would imagine being on a season and having Wes as your partner. That would be lit. I would be excited. I would be excited. Even CT, I didn't really get to there was small moments where he would come up. He actually came up to me and Horacio and would give us advice. So he was great, but I didn't really experience playing with him because I got out so early. So I feel like that is still something I wanted to do. Hold
up. You got real life CT pro tips?
I did.
Damn. As a challenge fan, I know you geeked out. I know you geeked.
We're all jealous.
And it was in passing too. Like I was walking to go get food, and he was walking with somebody else. I forget who it was. I think it might have been like Derek or Mark. And we were walking opposite directions, and he literally stopped me and he was like, "Oh, you guys can," like, to whoever he was. He's like, "You can go." And he like tells me, he's like, "Listen, I need you guys to do," like, because I guess we kind of were in alliance with him without knowing we were in alliance with him. I had no idea out of the show. Truly, I had no idea. But Paulie had told me that. He's like, "Yeah, TT and Cara like have each other like this," and Cara had told him like that you and Horacio were gonna be like this with her, and so he automatically was like, "Well, if they're protecting you, I want to have their back too." And I didn't know this. I don't know if that's exactly necessarily the way that happened, but I know that he was down to kind of have our backs. So that was already a huge deal for me to find out afterwards. I was like, wow, that's sick. But yeah, he had came up and just gave advice of, because like I said, when we first got there, everyone's like, oh, you guys aren't talking to many people. And he kind of was like, shh. And he was like,
She's got some shit to say too, Mom.
right? And so, so he would be like, okay, like, listen, I'm not telling you guys to go kiss anybody's ass because honestly, fuck half these people. He said, but if you have to fake the funk, I know you're doing a good job. He's like, but tell Horacio. He's like, just go tell him to fake the funk. We got you. You guys are going to be amazing. Like he kind of was just being like a dad, I guess, probably overhearing other people's conversations of being upset that we weren't being best friends with everybody. So he was just like, listen, even if you have to fake it, like you don't have to be friends with everybody, but like for the sake of your game, especially more so Horacio, like you guys need to go talk to some more people. He was like, people like me who I don't need you guys to talk to me. We're okay. But there's people here who need their egos kind of stroked and need to know that you want to be their friend or anything just for them to even want to slightly not throw you in right away. He was like, so it was kind of that kind of advice. And I was like, well, thank you. Like I said, it was in passing and I was so caught off guard and I was so appreciative of it. And I was like, wow, thanks. You're looking out for me. So it was nice.
That's so awesome. I mean, look, as challenge fans, like a real life CT pro tip is like hitting the lottery.
Yeah. I was like, that's great. It was great advice too, because I was like, I didn't even think about that. I was like, I didn't want to fake the funk with anybody, but I was like, you know what? If I have to fake it, I probably should.
Yeah. No, and honestly, like I love that. And I think it's so funny because you know, we see a lot of these OGs, you know, especially with All Star starting and stuff. A lot of them are coming back. We've seen, you know, like, you know, Rachel hasn't been on in a bajillion years and then came back on 40. You know, so we're having all these OGs come back and it's almost felt, I don't want to say negative energy towards the newer players, but almost like non-accepting of the newer players. But then I feel like we get OGs like Wes or like CT and they want the newer players to do well. Like they want to like bestow their knowledge so you can like carry the show on. And I love it. I love it so much. It makes me so happy to hear these stories.
And I think that's the difference between, I guess, those people that you're talking about, because some people, like I can say like CT and Wes and them, like they want the show to continue. They love the show so much that regardless if they're there or not, they want it to do well because that's where they came from. That's what started them. And that's what has made them the names that they are, you know? And then there's other people that I'd say the people who have played the most, those are the people that feel that way. And the people that haven't played that often, the people maybe that come back every now and then, and they're the ones that are the haters. They're the ones that they're like, wait, I should have more of the shine than the newbie that just has been here for 2 years because I was here 10 years ago and I did 7 seasons back to back and I started the show and it's like, but you started it, but if it weren't for you guys starting it, we wouldn't even be able to be here now. So it's like, why? There's nothing wrong with passing the torch down. We're not replacing you guys actually at all. We're just moving forward, I guess you would say, because we're not replacing anybody. Everybody has, especially these OGs that still get the chance to be on now. I'm like, nobody could replace you guys. Everybody, the challenge fans know you guys very well, know what you guys can bring. No one can take that away. Even if you guys don't do well now, we know what you guys were capable of in your prime, and we know how great you guys were. So we're not taking that from you. And so it's nice when those people do see us as just being like, let me just give advice because we want the show. If they don't give us advice, then there will be no challenge. The challenge will die off and there will be nothing for them to even watch. So
no, 100%, 100%. And look, I think we all hear, even as just fans, we hear the rumors of there's certain cast members that will go to production and be like, yo, you want to go look at this? This is gonna pop off. Go watch this. And the ones that I would assume some of the people that do that are the same ones that talk to the newer cast members are like, hey, do this, don't do that kind of thing. So it's cool to see it almost get passed on in a way. You know what I mean?
You know what just struck me? It's almost like a behind the scenes of that hypothetical season that we constantly talk about, that we want to see, of a coach's theme where you have like OGs, you have like 4 teams and they each have like an OG coach. And then it's like more modern, newer players that OG is coaching through the season. It's kind of like a behind the scenes thing of that. Like, yeah, I don't know.
It
Anyway,
was
sorry.
CT's idea.
It was.
It's like, well, I say in 39, it kind of was a little bit like that. I don't know. Oh yeah, they show it most of the time, but like when the OG, the vet came in on that season, like TJ always ended, whether they won or lost, with, do you have advice to give the newer cast? And you always could tell who actually loved the show because they would give real, true advice. And like, those are the moments when the vets would stand up there and give us that advice. And like, there was times where we all were like, wow, thank you. Like, you know what I mean? And we left and like, they would end the thing and we'd clap for them. And we were so happy because we were like, wow, thank you for the real advice. And then there was some people that would come there and be like, I don't give a shit. Like they literally, that was their mindset. And they're like, I don't care to give them advice. Like my advice is like, oh, don't trust everybody. And then they walk away and I'm like, okay, like things like that, where, like I said, we kind of experienced it a little bit with that when they were giving us real good advice.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I can imagine who you're talking about, but
I mean, we could all probably like read between the lines just a little bit, but I don't know.
All right, so I have one final hypothetical, then you ask your question, and I promise this will be a very close-ended, quick question.
Okay.
With you being a challenge fan, you get to pick a partner, fantasy partner. Can't be Horacio and Kylan. Just I'm taking them out of the running because I know who you're going to say, because I would pick Horacio or Kylan too. But you have to pick another guy to run a season with. And I'm saying you can pick him from anywhere in history in its prime. So if you want CT Rivals 2, you can do that. You want Jordan Dirty 30, you can pick that partner. So who are you picking as a partner?
Dang. Probably. Dang, that's hard. I think CT would be great only because people are scared of him. People are scared to say CT's name. So, and he's also really smart. So for me, that would be a win-win. I think Wes would be someone that people would try to come for. And then also Jordan is someone that people are scared to throw in too. So I would want to pick whoever between Jordan or CT because they're the ones that everybody else is scared to say their name. So that would essentially keep me in the game for as long as possible because they would be scared to say his name. And then when they finally say our names, I think we would also be a strong enough team to keep ourselves alive. So one of those two.
I agree. Sorry, I'm hitting the wrong buttons. I'm all excited.
Yes.
He keeps muting himself.
Yeah. Well, anyways. No, I agree. See, I just did it again. Jesus Christ. All right, you know what this means? It means you should ask the final question and we should wrap this up. Let Nurys get on with her evening.
Well, throughout this interview here, which by the way, thank you so much for all this time. This has been so much fun. But I feel like a big central theme of this has been about personal growth. And so I'm actually really excited for this question. When everything's done and said and you step away from reality TV to get all together and you're done with being in the public eye, what message do you want to leave behind for people?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Somebody asked me that the other day. Me and Horacio ran into a fan on the streets the other day, and she was like 19, and she was like, what's that advice you could give me? And I was like, I'm so bad at giving advice. But people always ask, I think the one thing that I get asked for advice wise all the time is, how are you so confident? And I feel like my one thing I always tell people, I'm like, you guys have to love yourselves. Like truly, I just want people to like fully, why am I getting emotional? No emotionalness, but I'm like, just fully appreciate yourself for the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's like my one infamous line, like yourself for exactly who you are, because nobody can, like I told you guys earlier, you are the only person that has to live with yourself 24/7. If you don't like yourself, life is going to be really, really hard. And whether you're on TV, whether you're in school, whether you're working a real job, there's always going to be people who are going to try to knock you down. And I feel like if you love yourself, then it's really hard to let the negative thoughts get into your mind and affect you for who you are, because you like yourself and you have accepted yourself. Nobody's perfect. We all have flaws, and you have to even like your flaws because it's what makes you you.
I love that.
No, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
that really
that's
is
perfect. Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you said, you got to live with you. You got to be happy with you, because that's where the judgment comes from 99% of the time. At least for me, it's myself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I am. I'm like, whenever I'm mean to myself, it's usually just because of things that I don't like about myself. I'm like, other people can say whatever they want and it goes in one ear right out the other. I'm like, I don't care. The moment I don't like something, I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's a problem.
Yeah, that's got to
100%.
change immediately.
Yeah, and look, like if since we're talking about real quick, and I'm going to close this out because we're on 2.5 hours. We got to feed our kids. Tony, I'm sure, has to get to bed. He's on Canadian time, which is like 4 hours ahead of us.
Yeah.
It's only 10.
It's only 10, no sweat.
God.
What I'll say is you got to love yourself, and you can't talk bad about yourself. You say those things, you got to push them out as quickly as you can. And like you said, fake the funk. Have that positive mind frame. Stupid stuff. Instead of I have to go to work, I get to go to work. I'm blessed to do so. I'm in a situation that a lot of people aren't in.
And I always say power of the tongue in manifesting, because I manifest have in my life because I spoke those things out loud, but also know that you can manifest the bad. So truly, when you want something, you not only do you have to obviously say it to the universe and try to get these opportunities, but you cannot say the bad. You have to stay hopeful and hope that it does happen. And even if it takes a lot longer than what you want it to happen in, it's still possible.
100%. 100%. Nurys, I think there is no better way to close out this episode than that right there. So I want to do that. But from all of us here, we want to thank you so much for coming on, giving us so much time. We feel so appreciative. Even our dog Ahsoka showed up to say thank you.
Right.
She heard Nurys' dog.
Great FaceTime.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, she heard Chance bark and she's like, what is that? I got friends on there too.
Yeah.
Yes, she said, me? She turned so fast.
I'm famous, Mom. Oh, pretty girl. Oh, sweet baby.
Oh, I don't
She
love it.
understands like FaceTimes and stuff, so that's why she's staring at you guys.
That's
Right.
so cute.
She's like, who are they? You've been talking for a while.
This is my time, Mom.
Her face is saying later. She's like, yep.
What is
Are
happening?
you
I don't know,
fucking
though.
done now, Mother?
Yeah.
God.
So, Nurys, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. I can't say it enough. Once again, thank you so much. We're all huge fans. I think you know that by now. We're constantly rooting for you. And honestly, I really think the only reason you guys weren't called on 41, and you could hit end recording, this doesn't need to be on there, but the only reason you weren't on 41 is strictly because I don't think you guys fit what format they're trying to do.
I wonder what it is.
I'm curious to see. I see what the cast is.
I see the cast, but I don't understand the theme yet.
It's going to be some stupid fucking version of Invasion of the Champs, and they're going to ruin it for us all because production listens, but they don't really listen to us fans.
Invasions the entire time I was there up until it changed. Like the moment I got there, I told everybody first day, I said, it's Invasion of the Champs. The Champs are coming in anytime now. And then when it went to Conquest or whatever it was, or Chaos, and the vets started coming in, I still was like, oh, they're going to, once this is over, they're definitely coming in. We're definitely going against them in the final. We're definitely doing something the whole time.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I think they listen to us because like, I think a lot of people were saying, hey, let's get a non-winner season. And then we get 39. And then I think they should have done an Invasion of the Champs, but should have done it for 40 personally.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Played off what 39 was, you know what I mean? So, but all right. So I know I've said it once, I've said it many times. Nurys, thank you so much for coming on. We really do appreciate it. It has been an absolute pleasure to talk with you and hear about your whole experience to reality TV modeling and all of that. It's been eye-opening as well. And the special surprise stopping by Horacio is always appreciated. But no, thank you so much. So for myself, Ricky Hayes, my beautiful wife, Karina Hayes, Katie Batblood Pahura, and Tony Stats and Infolance, thank you guys for coming on the Challenge Fandom podcast. We hope you interviewed this. Look at that. I can't do anything better than that right there. Let's go.
Felt like a FaceTime, and it was lovely to be here with you guys.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.